Where's Hopalong Cassidy?
I know, dude. That's a. Yeah, we got to get
Tiny Tim.
We got to get the skinny on that. How that went down. What that's all about.
He claims he twisted his ankle while he was hiking, but.
Why the fuck was he hiking in December?
Yeah. It hasn't been. It hasn't exactly been great weather out there the last couple of days to be bouncing around outdoors.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he usually shows up at like 10, so that bummed legs. I'm gonna assume like 12.
Yeah, I mean, like I told, because I just assumed he was not going to be here when he mentioned it, because he brought it up like it was something that was going to keep him away from the show, today. But then he's like, no, I'll be there. And so yesterday, me and him and Brian are going back and forth on group text, and Brian's like, I put it at minus 250. He even shows up. I'm like, fuck, man.
I'll be there.
And it's 9:03, and he's not here yet. So.
Just the first day I was here, he didn't come in until like 10:30.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, it's the freaking.
You got the easiest job in the world.
Yeah. He's talking the radio for a few hours.
Remember how we did the... Oh, you're plugged into this, so you should just be getting straight. Because you remember how we changed it around?
Join my husband Dennis Bono as celebrities share with him their intimate stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m.
Yeah, no, you should.
Oh yeah.
You should be because we're fed in.
Yeah.
It's an ant.
I was just making sure I wasn't hearing out of
Their topic campaign. Here. Off we go on a Monday. It is your The Vegas Take coming away live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAW, the talk of Las Vegas. Just a couple of days away from Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of our listeners out there. Happy Hanukkah as well, whatever your denomination. I'm Chris Wynn, in for Brian Shapiro. After a busy weekend, a festive weekend, and a weekend as everyone gets prepped for the holiday season. But the news still rolls on, topics still roll on, and the Vegas Take still rolls on. You can catch us, obviously, as I said, on KDWN. You can also catch us live streaming on the World Wide Web at our YouTube page at the Vegas Take Radio. So always fun to get a chance to jump in here for Brian Shapiro. Your thoughts, your opinions, your takes, always appreciated at 702-257-5396 on the phone lines. But got to get things rolling here as we are on the midst, of course, of Phase 2 in this national saga that is impeachment with President Trump. We have now gotten through the House of Representatives, and it now moves on to the Senate, although there has been some stumbling blocks in that area. So we'll get into that with Michael Avenatti. He's going to join us at the bottom of the hour to talk about the politics of it and what it means from a perspective of both Democrats, Republicans, and independents in the country. Because Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, has made a tactical move when it comes to releasing the articles of impeachment. So we'll talk with Michael Avenatti about that. Also joining us on the show later on, Jamieson Welsh, our NBA insider, as Christmas Day, while it's also a day for presents, it's a day for celebration and spending time with your family, it's also a day for NBA basketball, as there's a complete slate of NBA action that we'll go over with Jamieson, also some stories around the NBA of interest as well. A legend has returned to SNL as the storied show saw one of the all-time greats, not just in comedy, but in movies as well as entertainment itself, was back on the show on Saturday. We'll get into that. Also, we'll talk with Alex Valentine, because I know a lot of you Star Wars fans out there are all kinds of fired up, given there is a new installment out there. But joining us here live in studio, JD on the way, is our esteemed producer, Jason Stein, as well as campaign and the guys here in studio. Jason, it's always good to talk to you. How are you doing, my friend?
Happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus, my friend.
Did you tell people who you are?
I am Chris Wynn. I did point that out.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
I
Sorry.
did. I said that I'm the more look. I'm just as anti-Trumpish, I guess, as our regular host Brian Shapiro is. But I tend to take a more measured approach, right? I tend to take a more Stein. Brian and I, we're just a little bit different personality-wise when it comes to our interaction. I think that's fair to say, right? I'm not going out on a limb there.
Nope.
By pointing that out, that it's a little bit of a different look and a little bit of a different sound.
Well, you have more hair.
I do have a little bit more
You're
on
a
the
little
top
healthier.
here. And well, people would debate that. Some out there would say, I don't know if you want to go down that road, C-Win and Stein. But I think you're right.
You know, some people are calling that. You mentioned Eddie Murphy. Some are calling that the best SNL ever. That's hard to say.
That's
But
tough, isn't it? Because there's been so many over
45
the
years,
right? Yeah, we're
But
talking about.
But it was great.
It was
really
pretty
good.
impressive,
It was really good.
and it'll be fun to get into that later on in this show. How was your weekend, though?
Yeah, it was good, man. I had some downtime and watched some football and all that. But then I also had the privilege of taking Shapiro's car in for an oil change. You know, you may or may not have heard the episode of.
There's been a transition. I'm sure a lot of listeners understand, right? It went from the 04 Elantra
Right.
and he upgraded a little bit to the
Mhm.
Dodge Charger.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is a huge transition for the likes of Brian because look, it gives him a lot more options in my opinion
Right.
in a lot of areas of his life that not necessarily weren't exactly performing at top tier.
Right, and if you follow the Vegas take, you maybe remember the episode where I revealed that I promptly crashed his new car. Well, crash is a strong word. I scraped it, bumped it,
Yes.
and so my punishment, I had to do two things. One, I had to take Shap to Carl's Jr. He spent $11.83 at Carl's Jr. That's a lot of food. He purposely went out of his way to rack up the bill. And then the other part of the punishment was that I had to take his car in for an oil change, and I satisfied that this weekend. It's all safe. The car is safe and sound at his apartment, and the oil is changed, and tire pressure is good. So he'll be coming home to a nice car. My reputation, it took a hit, however. I almost would have rather just paid for the damage and be done with it instead of being a servant and driving around all over Vegas getting an oil change for him.
I can see where you're
You know
coming
what I'm
from there,
saying,
Stein.
But that's part of his plan. He would rather I spend a lot less money and not get it fixed so he can laugh at me. That's kind of his MO.
It makes for more story, right? It makes for more fodder on the air where
Yeah.
we can bounce it back and forth. And then if it
He's
was
a-
just squashed
He's kind
and
of
went away,
He's a sick man.
I can see it.
Do we have him?
So here's the deal, Stein.
Oh, good.
Look, Brian Shapiro, regular host on this show. Obviously, I am in for him today, but make no mistake about it out there, Vegas Take listeners. We had to bring him in for a little bit here because it wasn't just the average, boring transition for Brian to make the move from here in Las Vegas to go back to his native Connecticut for the holidays with his family. Okay? It didn't go down that way. We had to have him on the air to have him fill us in on exactly what the details are and what went down as far as, the move from the West Coast to the East Coast. So joining us now on the phone lines is our trusty co-host and host of the Vegas Take, Brian Shapiro, who's going to fill us in on what has transpired here in the past few days. Brian, what is going on, my friend?
See?
All right, so here's the deal. Well, Brian, let me set this up. So for most people out there, and JD is now joined us in the studio live. JD, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Chris. What's up with you, man?
So think about it. For most people out there, it's a simple thing, right? It's a thing. It's a necessary thing. People end up traveling back home for the holidays. You get a chance, and they just relish the opportunity, right? It's a chance. You get to go home, spend time with your family. Maybe go home and you actually meet up with some old friends, and you get out and about. And hit up the local pub, or you get a chance to spend quality time with those that you care about and the ones that you love. Well, it was clearly evident, right, Stein and JD, from the jump with Brian Shapiro that as soon as he rolled over to McCarran Airport here in Las Vegas, that was not going to be how this all goes.
It was more evident that Brian Shapiro only loves Brian Shapiro. He loves nobody else besides himself.
So, Shap, you got to give us so start from right off the top. What happened, bro? Where did it all start? No, hey, you know the deal. I'm a long-winded guy. I like to kind of set things up and just kind of like I'm like the T-ball guy, but I hold the tee and I put the baseball on it. Yeah, that'll come into play when it's Connecticut in December.
That's what he does here.
Well, no, you know what it is. It's just a drastic change. You're going from Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world, where everything here is 24/7. You get access to everything. You're going to suburban Connecticut on the west side of Hartford. Hey, I'm not trying to blast Hartford as a city, but it's not exactly Vegas, right?
Aren't you close to Foxwoods, Brian?
Not really. He's a ways away. Yeah, he's on the other side of the state, but it. So here's the deal. So JD, if you wanted to go to a casino, it's better off for Brian to go up to Springfield, because Springfield has the MGM Grand up there. So if he wanted to do that, get into just roll up to a casino or something and go play some craps or do what Brian Shapiro does when he's here in Vegas.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of Indian casinos in Connecticut: Foxwoods, Mohegan Sun.
Yes.
You just can't do anything. You can't do anything down the street like you used to do it here in Vegas.
Exactly. She had to. He describes it as she had to. As if it was.
This is the one you were looking forward to getting.
She should have taken another
her.
option, right? Not done that.
You were looking forward, Brian, to getting together with this woman, right? And you had no idea she was coming with someone. Oh.
Yeah, talk to us about that. Obviously, the Huskies played UNH yesterday in college basketball.
I mean, Lamar Odom.
No question that the Brass Bonanza, one of my favorite in-arena songs ever, the Hartford Whalers played that, of course, after every goal that they scored and when they actually skated out on the ice to start the game. But let's stick with college hoops, Shap. Obviously, of course, UNLV had a matchup this weekend against Robert Morris here in town, down at the Thomas and Mack. Myself was there to cover the game, along with about, I'd say, probably 1,500 of my closest friends to watch the matchup. In a game where, look, let's be honest about it, okay? It was a matchup on Saturday. There happened to be 4 other college basketball teams in town that were, monstrously better than the Runnin Rebels are this year. But I digress. They end up getting the win against Robert Morris, coming off obviously a very distressing loss on Wednesday to Pacific. What do you think it means, Brian Shapiro, as far as the state of UNLV basketball, that they're able to get that W as we roll into Christmas week here and we start to really focus on the Mountain West season and what it means for UNLV basketball? What do you think? What do you think about the win on Saturday and how much of an impact it should have as far as our perception of UNLV hoops? Yeah. And now, Brian, let me chime in real quick, just a quick clarification. What he ended up doing, he didn't just sit Hardy. He sat a couple other players as well too for the first 8 minutes of that game, and then he put them in at about, I want to say it was like the 11 or 12 minute mark of the first half, and that's when UNLV was losing in the first half to Robert Morris, and then they ended up coming back and winning the game in the second half. Probably because you're putting back your best players, but I just want to clarify that for the listeners out there as to the situation. So it's not like he's benching Hardy now, or it's something that from their standpoint is that it's over and done with, right? They expect to move on from now and actually have those players in the lineup. So I just want to make that clear. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was brilliant on the offensive side, maybe not great on the defensive side. I don't see it. We know they're going to be better next year. Where are they going to finish in the Mountain West? Maybe next to Fresno, maybe next to Air Force. That's unacceptable. That's not UNLV basketball. It should never be acceptable. And this is a guy that is also the highest paid coach in the Mountain West. Steve Alford doing a pretty good job at Nevada right now in year one. He lost all of his players. So you can't make that excuse, year one, let's give him some time. I heard that for 10 years with Dave Rice and Marvin Menzies. This is not rebuilding. They've been rebuilding for 10 years. So it's concerning. I think You can look at the first 12 or 13 games of the year. You can look and say, okay, this is what he's doing well. This is what he's not doing well. I think that's more than fair. And nobody can look me in the eye and say, you know what? This team, he might turn it around this year. This team might surprise you. They might finish third or fourth in the Mountain West Conference. I'm telling you right now, there is zero chance that that is going to happen. Zero.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially with San Diego State being as good as they are. They might be a top 5 team in the country. They're undefeated. They just blasted Utah, who we watched them beat Kentucky a couple of days ago. And you mentioned
and JD, if you recall a few weeks ago, I watched San Diego State over the Orleans Arena, and I said on the air, I said, this is a legit top 25 team in the country, and they are better than Utah State.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I also watched Nevada. Actually, I bet Nevada against St. Mary's a couple of days ago. And UNLV is going to lose to Nevada by 15 plus again. Nevada's very, very good this year. But, UNLV did cover against Robert Morris, and that's the most important thing because great teams cover.
Can you imagine that? Did you ever think, Chris, 8, 9, 10 years ago, that Pacific would come into town and the spread would be 4, and they would lose to Pacific at home in front of about 800 people, that Robert Morris would come to town, a horrific Northeast Conference team, and they would be losing at halftime and the spread would be single digits? I didn't think that day would happen.
I happen to agree with you. And look, I have a lot of sentiment. I agree with a lot of your sentiment, Brian, but I'm telling you, as someone who was there in the post-game press conference, there was a lot of focus on positivity. There was a lot of glass half full people that, obviously, with the performance of Marvin Coleman having a career high 16, and then you had TJ in the post-game press conference talking about how, look, my intentions are to get this program back to the top of the Mountain West. You know what I'm saying?
You've watched a lot of basketball, Chris. Yeah. Is Marvin Coleman a D1 athlete, in your opinion?
I think that he gives me the impression.
What does he do well?
I think he gives me the impression that he's a walk-on guy. Like he is, he is that type of talent where, he's the guy that's going to be on the end of your bench. So to answer your question, as far as a D1 athlete, I guess, but I'm not talking. He's not someone who's going to, be impactful, especially for this team going throughout the season.
How can you be optimistic of, having a walk-on who scores 16 against Robert Morris, walking into a Mountain West that might be there's a chance the Mountain West is going to have 2 or 3, probably 2 teams in the top 20 come conference play, when's the last time that's happened?
I just have another question for something. Yeah, and I agree with you, JD. Chris, you're telling me that TJ Otzelberger, after the press conference, after they barely got through Robert Morris,
right,
he said he expects them to be at the top of the Mountain West?
Here's the thing, Brian. He's making a general comment about, his expectations for the program moving forward and what he plans to do and what he wants to be a part of at UNLV. So we're up against a hard break, Brian. But, for the most part, he was taking a very positive approach to it. So,
well, I guess the coach needs to stay positive, but there's really not a lot positive when you're 5-8 going into conference play and you got about 600 people showing up to basketball. I'm not saying that's all his fault, but what can we say that is so positive about UNLV basketball right now? I mean, seriously, we're not affiliated with the team. We just cover the team. What can you say that is positive surrounding the UNLV basketball program right now? I can't think of one thing.
That's Brian Shapiro. He is our regular host here on the Vegas Take. He's over in Connecticut for a couple more days. Hey, make it safe back here and enjoy the rest of your holiday, Brian. We will talk to you soon, my friend. All right?
All right. Good luck on those caveman Keno machines.
Yes, sir. Brian Shapiro, the host here of the Vegas Take. I'm Chris Wynn, in for Brian today. On the other side, Michael Avenatti is going to join us live here we're going to talk a little bit impeachment, also about the Christianity Today story, also much more as we continue here on the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN.
Guys, waking up over and over to pee is not okay. But now you can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients in Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced. We're talking about less urges to pee at night, less bathroom trips during the day, and better bladder emptying.
It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one.
You can try a full 30-day bottle of P3 Advanced, free.
Just pay shipping and handling.
No strings attached, no obligations, and no commitments to buy. This is a 30-day supply, absolutely free.
Call 1-800-204-5731.
Super Beta Prostate is the best-selling brand in major retailers like Walmart. But for this no-strings-attached free bottle, you must call now.
Call 1-800-204-5731.
Don't miss out on this unprecedented free offer.
Call 1-800-204-5731. 1-800-204-5731.
Does your child love math? Do they just love math so much that once they finish their homework, they want to work on extra math problems just for fun? Anyone? If you answered no, then you are not alone. While your child may not think math is important for their future, we know better. That's because Infinity the Math Institute offers the best math tutors in Las Vegas, produces the best results at the best prices for kids of all ages. Infinity the Math Institute does it all. Does your child need prep for the SATs? Right now, SAT preparation classes in November are just $15. Fractions, algebra, geometry, decimals, you name it. Plus, Infinity offers homeschool programs, free seminars for parents and students. And whether your child is transitioning from elementary school to middle school to high school, or preparing for college, Infinity can help. Classes are filling up. Call us now to find out more. 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. You want the best results for your child? One call to Infinity can have a huge impact on your child's future. Call now. 768-1777. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you.
Hey, this is Matt Franco, inviting you to bring home the magic that comes with saving a life. Every day at the Animal Foundation, you'll find hundreds of loyal, loving shelter pets looking for their permanent homes. Visit the Animal Foundation's new adoption center today or find your pet online at animalfoundation.com.
1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
Police have charged one person in connection with a shooting at a Chicago house party being held to honor the victim of another shooting. 13 were injured in the incident, and Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot says investigators need some of the attendees to tell police what went on.
We can't normalize this kind of behavior and tragedy in our city. To call upon the people that were inside, who have information about what happened, to step up and let their faith overcome their fear. That is the only way that we're going to bring down violence across our city.
Saudi Arabia has sentenced 5 people to death for the killing of the Washington Post columnist and royal family critic Jamal Khashoggi, who was murdered in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul last year by a team of Saudi agents. France says it has carried out its first armed drone strike, killing 7 Islamic extremists in Mali. On Wall Street, stocks are up, the Dow up about 110. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. On the 215 Beltway, not seeing any trouble spots all the way around town. Things are looking good. No issues on I-15 in either direction. You have an accident, US 95 southbound at Charleston Boulevard that was blocking the center lane. Closure due to an accident. Flamingo shut down westbound before Maryland Parkway. Go Desert Inn or Tropicana. With an Allstate agent, you get a local expert and help finding the best coverage for you. Plus, when you bundle home and auto, you can save. So call your local Allstate agent today. Are you in good hands? I'm JP Fox, and that's a look at the roads from the KDON Traffic Center.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908. Don't wait. Call now. 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908.
Hey, it's Lee Goldberg of the GCI guys at Realty One Group. Do you know anyone that's looking to buy a home, sell a home, rent, move from California? If so, give them my number, 702-902-3029. All listeners of the Vegas Take get $1,000 in your hand back at closing. Hometown heroes, veteran, military, police, teacher, nurse, I'm giving you $2,000 back. That also goes for hospitality and casino employees. Free use of a moving truck for a day, 6 free months of home security. Call me, 702-902-3029, the GCI guys.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
The jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. So if you're a middle school student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. A public service message from America's Navy.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
Billionaires in wine caves should not pick the next president of the United States.
The Monday edition of the Vegas Take coming away live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with JD Sharp here in studio. You can also catch us on our YouTube channel at the Vegas Take Radio. And you can catch us streaming online there as the transition begins, folks. And joining us now on the line is our friend of the show, attorney Michael Avenatti, joining us now for our segment. Michael, we appreciate you spending some time on a Monday. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Doing pretty well. How are you?
Doing really well.
Doing great, Michael.
Of course, the transition begins, Michael, and what I mean by that is this. Of course, the House of Representatives and, President Trump has become the third president, the first president, by the way, in his first term to be impeached. So now we transition to the Senate trial, and, of course, there's been a lot of moving and shaking and political moves being made, particularly on the Democratic side, as Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, is holding up the articles of impeachment. And Donald Trump, of course, is approaching it in a way that only Donald Trump can, where he basically is a denial. Or Donald Trump saying he wasn't actually impeached, which is, we've all seen this coming, and we've all kind of expected this, right, Michael? But I wanted to get your thoughts initially on the tactics of Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats with respect to the articles of impeachment and not exactly being receptive and cordial when it comes to handing over the articles of impeachment.
Well, first of all, this claim that he has not been impeached is ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely absurd. I mean, he has been impeached. The House passed impeachment charges. The fact that they have not sent those charges yet to the United States Senate does not negate the fact that he has, in fact, been impeached. This is no different than if a criminal defendant is charged in a case, but the charges or the indictment is not yet been assigned to a court of law or to a judge for trial. It doesn't mean the individual has not been charged. So, this rhetoric, this messaging that you're seeing from Trump and some of the other Republicans that somehow he has not been impeached it's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, it's absurd. I don't know what other words to use. So that's number one. Number two, as it relates to Nancy Pelosi's decision and the Democratic leadership's decision not to send the charges yet to the U.S. Senate, I applaud it, and I've been advocating for that position. Look, until it becomes clear that there's going to actually be a real trial as opposed to a rigged trial, and what I mean by that is a trial with witnesses, a trial with the presentation of evidence, a trial where people have not already pre-announced their decision without even seeing or hearing all of the evidence. Until that happens, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats better stand strong and not send the charges to the U.S. Senate. They need to play hardball. They need to finally step up and fight the fight like the Republicans do. They should be asking themselves each and every day, well, what would Mitch McConnell do? What would the Republican leadership do? And that's exactly how they should play the game.
Is it possible to hold up the articles of impeachment for too long, considering that the election is coming up in less than 10 months?
I don't think so. I mean, I would hold them up until it becomes clear that there's going to be a legitimate, real trial. And in the meantime, the House, Adam Schiff and the like, they should continue to take evidence, continue to hear from witnesses. There's a bunch of witnesses who have yet to testify. As I've said before on this show, they should be making efforts to hear from Mulvaney. They should be making efforts to hear from Parnas. There's no fewer than 5, 6, 8 witnesses that they should be seeking testimony from in the interim, and they should continue the investigation. In the meantime, Trump can twist in the wind.
Well, your thoughts on that? Because look, the charge, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just the average guy looking at this, not necessarily from a legal expert opinion. I'm looking at this like the Republicans are saying that the Democrats don't want to go through the quote unquote court process of bringing bringing, and waiting for the courts to make decisions, because in essence, it's almost like the Republicans are able to run the clock out, right, Michael? Am I correct in that kind of assessment, that that's the reason why the Democrats aren't going through the whole court process with respect to actual witnesses? Because this is, look, we're about to enter into January, right? So like a lot of this stuff can take a ton of time if they were to go about it in that way where you were going to get the courts involved.
Well, I mean, I think the Democrats are not proceeding with pushing the charges to the Senate because they don't believe there's going to be a fair trial.
Right.
Number one, and then as it relates to the witnesses, they don't want to be, the Democrats don't want to be delayed in the courts relating to Mulvaney and others asserting executive privilege. But there's ways to expedite that. It's not going to happen overnight, but there's ways to expedite those decisions. But there's other witnesses like Lev Parnas, for instance. His attorney has been very vocal about the fact that he's prepared to turn over documents and he's prepared to testify. I don't know why Adam Schiff and the Democrats have not called him to testify. If I was Adam Schiff, I would be calling a witness every week until I felt that the investigation was in a place where it could be turned over to the Senate and until I believed that the Senate was going to actually have a real trial.
But on the flip side, can't the Republicans ask anyone to testify that they want to as well?
Well, provided that it is deemed to be relevant, and ultimately Chief Justice Roberts would preside over the trial in the Senate, and he would make a determination as to whether it was relevant to the charges to have various people testify, i.e. Hunter Biden. The Republicans could request that Hunter Biden testify, but ultimately Chief Justice Roberts would have to make that call.
Another topic also, Michael, we want to get into. Obviously, last week down in your neck of the woods in Los Angeles, there was the Democratic debate that went down, and a lot of interesting aspects of that debate were presented themselves. Obviously, we had Elizabeth Warren and Klobuchar attacking Mayor Pete at the debate. And, you've been one who's been a proponent, really, of the Democrats toughening up, right? And that this is something I think that's a good thing for Democrats given you're going to be going up against the likes of Donald Trump in a 2020 election cycle. What did you make of the debate between the Democrats there, and what do you think this means as far as Joe Biden being the front runner there on the Democratic side?
Well, the one thing I'll say is I think that Senator Klobuchar at one point said, why didn't come here to fight? Well, if you didn't come here to fight, if you're not on the debate stage ready to fight, then you're sure as hell not prepared to beat Donald Trump or go up against Donald Trump. And this whole idea that, this election's not going to be a fight is ridiculous. So, as far as I'm concerned, if she doesn't want to fight, if she doesn't want to get down in the gutter and trade shots, then she should get the hell out of the race, because nobody is going to beat Donald Trump that is not prepared to get down in the gutter and trade shots with the guy. So now, with that said, I think that the debate, it was exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a debate. It's supposed to be a battle for the nomination. I had no problem with it.
I'll tell you this, watching Pete Buttigieg just handle Elizabeth Warren, countering her claim that he was using elitist money, and him saying, well, that's crazy because the most money I can raise is $3,000 per donor, and your net worth is 100 times mine. I think that Pete Buttigieg, I'm getting more confidence in Pete Buttigieg that he is actually the biggest threat to Donald Trump and not Joe Biden. I think that he would actually go blow to blow with Donald Trump, and I think that Donald Trump would probably actually he would probably stoop to the level of calling him out for being a homosexual, and that would blow up in his face. Are you gaining more faith in Pete Buttigieg?
Well, I've always been a fan of Mayor Pete, and I've spent some time with him over the last 18 months, and I'm very impressed by the guy. He's by far the smartest person in the field. There's no question about that. I have some serious questions as to whether he can win, frankly, in the key states against Donald Trump. I don't love that matchup for a bunch of reasons. He's on the smaller side physically. Right. I don't think optically that's going to look good against Trump. Who's what, 6'2", 6'3", pushing 320 probably. This whole 230, this whole 235 thing is absurd.
Yeah, he's at least 260 now.
So I'm not crazy about that. I don't know how his young age is going to play in the swing states. I don't know how his sexual orientation is going to play in the swing states, unfortunately. I think that Trump will try to exploit that if that were the matchup. And, whether we want to accept it or not, he'd probably get traction on that. Unfortunately, it's disgusting, but true. And so, I'm not crazy about that matchup. Look, I think Mayor Pete will likely be president someday. I think he has a hell of a shot. I just don't know if it's this time around against this guy, Donald Trump.
It's just fascinating, though, because, Michael, you see Republicans, they like to frame these early matchups with whether it's Democrat debates, whether it's Democrats in the media going against each other, and they like to point out, oh, look, they're eating each other alive, right? And it's like a circular firing squad. But and look, you pointed this out many times. This is a necessity, right? These Democratic candidates need to toughen up. They need to find, whoever it is that ends up being the nominee has got to be able to be combative. They have to be able to go at President Trump. And this is something I think that can help them out when you're in situations like this, where you can point out the differences between the candidates, and where you can actually, you can show that you have a spine and that you're willing to go up against President Trump. I think when you have moments like this in this Democratic debate, I think it can only help your cause, is what I guess I'm trying to say.
Well, that's entirely true. If you look at NFL teams don't go from training camp to playing in the Super Bowl, right? They have preseason games, they have a regular season, they have big games, they have national games, and then they toughen up and they get ready to play in the Super Bowl. You don't go from training camp to the Super Bowl. And, the debates are designed to basically be the regular season in many ways, in my view, as it relates to leading up to the nomination. Look, if these candidates can't handle getting beat up and can't handle climbing in the ring with fellow Democrats, how the hell are they going to handle Donald Trump?
Speaking of Donald Trump, and we're joined by Michael Avenatti, by the way, friend of the show, and also, attorney on the phone lines here on the Vegas Take. I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro, along with J.D. Sharp. And speaking of Trump, he lost some more support in the last few days. Michael, of course, the editorial comes out regarding Christianity Today. And not only do they not support him, and not only do they support impeachment, they support him being removed from office. And the editor-in-chief, Mark Galley, was on MSNBC, and he had this perspective with respect to his thoughts on Donald Trump, saying that the magazine is a far-left publication. Michael.
His characterization of us as being far-left is far from accurate. We consider ourselves, and most people consider us, a pretty centrist magazine in the evangelical world. We're certainly not far right, and I suppose anyone who's not far right, he would consider far left, and there's a right to say that, but it's factually inaccurate that we're far left. We're pretty centrist. We rarely comment on politics unless we feel it rises to the level of some national or concern that is really important.
So this is pretty much par for the course, right, Michael, with respect to Donald Trump? Anytime he feels slighted or, there's some type of negative comment or negative reaction to what he's been doing, he seems to take it all the way across the board to, just blasting the organization. But this comes back to evangelicals, Michael, and their support of Donald Trump. I've contended all along that they absolutely despise the man as far as, how he's conducted himself in life. But their entire motivation, Michael, is based on whether, his perspective when it comes to judges in this country and appointing conservative judges, and also the administration's stance with respect to abortion and issues like that. Am I correct in that assessment when we talk about evangelicals and President Trump?
Well, I think you are, in that those two issues are of paramount importance, and a lot of people of Christian faith and a lot of evangelicals have held their nose and voted for this guy and supported him over the years because of those issues. But I find this pretty significant in that this could be the first crack in that evangelical support dam, if you will, for Donald Trump, and it would not take a lot, frankly, to turn 20, 50, 100, maybe a few 100,000 evangelical voters against him in light of something like this. So this is very significant in my view. I mean, we're going to find out how significant as this election plays out.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I did some research on Christianity Today, and they've got a circulation of 130,000. They've got about 260,000 readers. And if Donald Trump loses 50 to 100,000 votes in a state like Louisiana or Alabama, where he's going to win significantly, do you think that's really going to affect him long term?
Well, I'm not. No, I don't. Not in those states. But I wonder. You know, I don't know how much traction this is going to get in a place like Ohio or Wisconsin, Western Pennsylvania, and the like. And you know, while their base of subscribers may not be that significant, you know, the fact that the media is reporting on this and this has become such a big story could have some significance.
Michael, we haven't had a chance to get your opinion and perspective with respect to Donald Trump and the comments made about former Congressman Dingell out of Michigan. Of course, Donald Trump holds a rally in that state, and it's in the midst of the impeachment process going on, the impeachment vote that night. And of course, Representative Dingell, his wife, is now the representative in Michigan in that state now, apparently. And so she votes to impeach Donald Trump. So Donald Trump uses that as an opportunity in the actual rally to disparage the senator's late husband, and to say that it was deplorable would be an understatement. But this is just another indication of what Donald Trump does whenever he feels like, you know, he's been slighted or something. You know, it's just absolutely, to me, it was unconscionable that he would make those comments at a public rally like that.
Well, you know, this guy's a petulant child. I mean, he's demonstrated that time and time again over the last 3 years. He's also, you know, a coward. He's your typical schoolyard bully who, you know, advertises himself as being tough, but when you really stand up to him, he's a paper tiger. But, you know, look, and you saw this with John McCain, and you've seen this from time to time. I mean, to disparage, you know, a dead man, and especially to do it through his widow, is disgraceful. It's disgusting. And, you know, look, to my friends to the people on the right, if it was a liberal, quote unquote, or someone on the left that did it, I'd say the exact same thing. I mean, there's basic levels of decency in conduct that I don't care if you're on the right, the left, or in the center, all of us should adhere to. You don't attack, you know, a dead man through his widow. Period.
Makes total sense, and it was just, it seems to me that we keep coming back to this. You know, it's people. You know, he makes a statement like this. He does something that is just absolutely unacceptable, and yet some people try to rationalize around and make excuses for it. It's crazy.
I think sometimes when he's in front of a bunch of people at a rally, he makes these impulsive decisions. He thinks that he is on a reality TV show or he's an entertainer, and he doesn't realize that he's the president of the United States. And he says crazy things like this. Now, that being said, John Dingell did go after Trump for about 18 months on Twitter, wrote a book about it. I mean, they definitely had some bad blood, but the way that he attacked him, to me, was counterproductive.
Well, the problem is the guy's no longer alive, JD, so he can't even defend himself. You know, it's not like the guy can come back, and it's not like it was when John McCain was still alive and he ends up voting against the bill, against the healthcare bill.
If you look at John Dingell's Twitter account, there's probably 7 or 8 incidents in the last 16 months where he calls him a criminal, where he calls him terrible, terrible things. And so, again, I'm not surprised that Trump did it. It's a problem, and I'm a Trump supporter. It's a problem that I'm not surprised that Trump did it, because he shouldn't respond like that whenever someone goes after him.
So we've talked, Michael, obviously about Lindsey Graham and his remarkable transition, I guess you call it, all over the place when he deals with Donald Trump and what he said about Donald Trump. Well, Lindsey Graham, Michael, he also weighed in on calling, and he actually called out President Trump over the Dingell comment earlier.
Mr. President, pull us together as a country. This joke does not help. It is not funny in my view.
Hasn't the ship sailed, Michael, as far as us expecting President Trump to pull this country together? We're 3 years in, Michael, okay? This isn't going to happen, right? He's not going to make some magical transition to being the uniter-in-chief. That's just not who he is.
Look, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, and I've said this before, when I went to bed on election night in 2016, you know, I was surprised, but I was not shocked. I had actually predicted about a year prior that I thought that Trump would win, and people laughed at me and told me that I was absolutely crazy and out of my mind. I was surprised. I was not shocked. I was surprised that I had turned out to be right, frankly. But I thought to myself, okay, look, this guy's an egotistical. He's got the biggest ego on the planet. He's a narcissist. But he's now been elected to the presidency of the United States. He's the leader of the free world, right? So this should cause him to perhaps be a little more reflective as a man and rise to the office and understand the enormous responsibility that he has now taken on and the prestige of the office. It doesn't get any higher than that, frankly, right? I don't know of any bigger ego stroke than winning the presidency of the United States. So I thought to myself, well, this guy will rise to the occasion. The office will change the man, or at least I was hoping. And now we know that thought was ridiculous. It was without any basis whatsoever, because the man has tried to change the office. He's a bigger narcissist today than he's ever been. His ego's more out of control than it's ever been. He hasn't risen to the occasion. He demeans the office of the presidency of the United States day in and day out, domestically and abroad. And I think there's a decent likelihood that he's changed the office forever. And so, he's not a uniter. He's never going to be a uniter. He's a divider. And I think it's a very dangerous thing.
And that's a very good point. If this doesn't stroke his ego, what will? Every single person in the world saying, "I love you, Donald Trump," it's almost like that's what he's going for.
If winning the presidential election and being president of the United States with all of the pomp and the circumstance and the adulation and the attention and the constant hanging on every word that you say, if that's not enough to make you feel fulfilled from an egotistical perspective as a man, what the hell is?
Exactly.
Michael Avenatti, attorney, joining us here on the Vegas Take with his perspective as we get set. We're just a matter of days, right, Michael, from 2020, and this election cycle is going to get charged up, and it's going to be an enticing and intriguing back and forth, to say the least, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's right. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Iowa, although, I believe that the nomination process really isn't going to start until South Carolina. I think South Carolina is really going to be the key first primary to see who's going to be the next nominee. I think the process is going to play out longer than it has in years past. I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry early on as it's been. It's going to be very interesting.
That's Michael Avenatti, friend of the show. You can follow him at Michael Avenatti on Twitter. Some great tweets this weekend from Michael, not just on politics, not just on things. He can also tweet about sports as well too. JD, he chimed in a little Jerry Jones this weekend and the Dallas Cowboys.
He is not a Jason Garrett fan, from what I understand.
Exactly right. Right, Michael.
Well, look, the guys had. Let's talk a little Cowboys for a minute, and I followed that team for a very long time, and of course Jerry and I have had some run-ins in the past on the legal front. But, this is a guy that, the only reason that Garrett has kept that job is because he allows for Jerry Jones to meddle in the team and allows Jerry to really, call the shots and be very hands-on from a coaching perspective. And there's not a lot of coaches out there that will tolerate that kind of behavior. And certainly people of quality, nobody of quality is going to come into that position and really stand for that. The only coach that Jerry has had since Jimmy Johnson that was able to really lead that team and put them in a position where they could potentially make a run at another Super Bowl was Bill Parcells. And I don't think Jerry's going to turn over control of the team to the degree that.
Did we lose Michael? Is it? We lost you for a second there, Michael. Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, we're actually up against a break. We appreciate all your sentiments, Mr. Avenatti, and we hope you have enjoy the rest of your holiday. And we'll talk to you again soon. Okay.
All right, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Michael.
Michael Avenatti here joining us, attorney on the Vegas Take. And look, here's the deal. Yeah, with respect to the Cowboys, the expectations were high, right, JD? They were supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. And it hasn't even transpired anywhere close to that. So,
well, it's to the point where I wonder if Jason Garrett has damaging information on the Jones family or Jerry Jones himself. Because after I see Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, who looks like he's about 15 years old, by the way. But the play calling on third and short yesterday was, it was unacceptably bad. You can't have a running back like Ezekiel Elliott who you're paying the most of any running back in the NFL. He's making 20 million plus a year, and you don't give him the ball on 3rd and 1 every single time. How is that humanly possible? Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
That's JD Sharp. I'm Chris Winnan for Brian Shapiro. Much more. The Vegas Take is coming your way on the other side of the break on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Just a few years ago, Mozambique's Niassa National Reserve in southern Africa was a danger zone for elephants. Organized gangs of poachers took them down by the thousands for their ivory tusks. Some believed that Niassa's elephants would soon go extinct. But then something amazing happened. Conservationists and governments got together and formulated a plan. They used helicopters, planes, and a highly trained police force to eliminate poaching. Today, Niassa hasn't lost a single elephant in more than a year. Conservationists believe the reserve can fully recover and once again support tens of thousands of elephants. With your support, we can keep Niassa and other protected areas where elephants live safe from poachers' guns. Find out more at 96elephants.org.
A Home for Spot is a nonprofit group of dog lovers whose mission is to rescue, provide sanctuary, and ultimately to rehome abandoned, stray, and neglected dogs. To donate, foster, or adopt, go online to ahome4spot.com.
Whoa! There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group station.
Boeing dumps leader. Was it a legal move? I'm Mike Moss. Less than a week after halting new 737 MAX construction, Boeing has fired CEO Dennis Muhlenberg. Company's been reeling since the crashes of 2 737 MAX jets and has been unable to win government support for allowing those planes to fly again. More from correspondent Clayton Neville.
The board's current chairman, David Calhoun, will become president and CEO on January 13th. The board said a change in leadership was necessary to restore confidence in the company as it works to repair relationships with both its regulators and its stakeholders.
Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen is calling on the Government Accountability Office to decide if the president's decision to hold up Ukraine aid was illegal.
GAO began looking into this after I asked them a series of questions at a budget committee hearing, and so we're now following up on that line of questioning, and we're glad that GAO is conducting this review and look forward to receiving their legal opinion. I certainly hope we have that in time for the Senate proceeding.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he hasn't decided yet whether to call witnesses in the Senate trial of the president. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is asking for witnesses and documents to be allowed. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot calls the shooting and wounding of 13 people at a party a cowardly act. Correspondent Omar Jimenez reports.
The ages range from people shot from 16 to 48. Thankfully, no one was killed here, but 4 people in critical condition. And when you look within a wider context of Chicago, this is actually a year we've seen double-digit declines in violent crime, and they're set to do so for a 3rd consecutive year.
Those wounded were attending an event to honor the victims of another shooting. On Wall Street, the Dow up 109 points at this hour. I'm Mike Moss.
This holiday season, get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Most people think all short-term lenders are the same, and for the most part, they're right. But those people have not discovered how quick, easy, safe, and inexpensive it is to get a signature loan at the DLC. At Dollar Loan Center, you can get a signature loan up to $5,000 in just minutes, and you don't need a checking account or collateral. It's easy to qualify, and you only pay interest for the time you have the loan out. That's different, way different. If you already have a loan at one of those payday companies, we can really help. Give us a call, and we'll show you how much you can save by borrowing from us and paying off your other loans. Spoiler alert, it's a lot of money, sometimes over half. We love to say yes, give credit line increases, and we report your positive history to your credit.
Licensed by the Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Views Also is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pod sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Do you have pain? Do you want natural relief? Tune in to Natural Pain Relief and Wellness with Dr. Devin Luzad, Spinal Care of Nevada, Sundays, 10:30 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 7:20 a.m. KDON.
Hey, are you ready to quit smoking? There's a free Nevada resource here to help you. Just call 1-800-QUIT-NOW from a Nevada area code.
Okay, men, time to be an all-star caregiver. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, be there emotionally and physically. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, Rachel Ray here. Nothing brings a bigger smile to my face than cooking up a big meal for the whole family and lots of friends. But there's not enough room at my table for the 17 million kids in our country who struggle with hunger. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food to give hope to hungry kids. But they can't do it without your help. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
720 on the AM, 101.5 FM. Yeah, now on FM. The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas. KDON. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Coming at you with the second hour of the Vegas Take here live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with J.D. Sharp. Also campaign and the guys, Johnny handling his business as well. Jason Stein here live. The whole gang is here except for Brian. He'll be back next week, though, never fear. We were discussing with Michael Avenatti, of course, the prospects of the 2020 election cycle, JD, and, of course, what impact impeachment will have on that, and also the upcoming Senate trial with respect to Donald Trump. I want to lay a couple things out there for you, JD, and kind of bounce them off you. I look at this upcoming election as, it's obviously there's going to be a focus on President Trump and what he's been able to do in the 3 years he's been president and going into the fourth year. But I look at it in obviously a perspective of someone who is not a fan of the president. And I look at it this way. The Democrats don't view this as, we need to go after the hardcore Trump voter, right? The Trump voter that has stood by the president no matter what, that will stand by the president no matter what. And much along the lines of Michael Avenatti, I am in the camp of this election is going to boil down to what the swing states do. It's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to the Pennsylvanias, to the Michigans, to the Wisconsins. That's going to be the indicator. That's going to be the linchpin.
And you have to ask yourself, what are they going to vote based on? Because if you're a staunch Republican, if you're pro Donald Trump, it's probably because you're anti-abortion, your things like that. But if you're kind of in the middle, you're more worried about, at least from my experience, you're more worried about how the laws and how what the president does affects you, your pocketbook, your family, et cetera, et cetera. And if that's the case and the economy is still strong and unemployment is down, then Donald Trump is going to sweep those swing states, in my opinion, because they just don't care. Because why would they? They don't care what he does in his personal life. And I don't think, and they don't care if he's a bad human being. They just want a good leader who makes their life better. And I don't think that the Democrats, they still don't comprehend that simple notion. They think that everybody is concerned. Everybody is making a big deal about how bad of a human being he is, like Brian does and like you do. Yeah. And those who are on the fence, they're more worried about how he affects their own life because they're selfish and they're human beings.
And I get that, and you're coming at it from a reasonable, Republican perspective. That is your point of view, JD.
A fiscally conservative,
but I'm telling you,
fiscally conservative point of view.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people out there that believe that.
If you're fiscally conservative right now, you like Donald Trump.
I think you're making it a little bit more simplified there. I'm talking when it comes to the swing states. I'm telling you, it's not like the president has gained support in the swing states. He has, in fact, lost support in the swing states from a numbers perspective. And so, I have this point of view, and you pointed out, obviously, that that you think Democrats don't really necessarily care about you're correct. You're absolutely correct when you say that there's a lot of Americans out there and Trump supporters and Republicans that say, I don't care about all this other stuff that he does as far as his personality. We just care about our dinner table, right? We care about, putting food on the table, having jobs, the day-to-day. That is what our focus is. You can do that and at the same time expect the president to act in an ethical way, expect the president not to do things that would get him impeached, expect the president to hold himself to a higher standard. So I look at this and I say, as myself, like you, JD, I'm a Midwestern guy. I grew up in Michigan. Okay, and I'm very much aware of the mentality of people in the Midwest, the flyover. We call it the flyover states. We call it, the Great Plains, the Rust Belt, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm absolutely aware of the mentality, but the fact of the matter is that I think it's going to be a lot different than it was in 2016. Hillary Clinton is not Joe Biden. Hillary Clinton is not Elizabeth Warren. Hillary Clinton sure as heck isn't Bernie Sanders. So, look, for all intents and purposes, I think we can agree, right, that those three are going to be the Democratic nominee. You talk about the other people all you want, but from a realistic standpoint, right, JD, we're talking about Bernie, we're talking about Elizabeth, we're talking about Joe.
I think that Pete and Andrew Yang are going to make a couple of moves in the next 3 to 6 months.
But I agree with Michael Avenatti, and I think I agree with you when I say absolutely from a credential standpoint and from if we were just speaking about how we feel about Pete Buttigieg as a candidate, he should absolutely be considered. But we all understand the reality of America, and I don't necessarily know that he is ready yet. Could he be in 2024? Well, again, possibly. Could he be in 2028? Absolutely.
If you're fiscally conservative, do you really care if a man is married to another man? How does that, again, go by that same logic? Does that affect your life in a negative capacity? Probably not now. Like I asked my mother. My mother was here for the last segment on Friday, or for the whole show on Friday. And I said, Mom, do you care that Pete Buttigieg is a homosexual? She says, no. I just don't want it thrown in my face. That's all she said. She just doesn't want to see it. To see that particular act. Well, and I think that, and she's a 58-year-old Caucasian woman who lives in Iowa. And I think that thought process is going to be pretty consistent with a lot of fiscal conservatives out there.
You're giving way too much credit though to a lot of the base of the Republican Party.
I'm not talking
that
about
is closed-minded when it comes to homosexuality.
I'm not talking about evangelicals. I'm talking about fiscal conservatives.
Yeah, but there's a lot. But JD, you have to admit, even in the Republican Party, let's put it this way: it's not like the Democrats and the people that are on the left are the ones that would be thought of as not inclusive, right? It would be thought of as all the time trying to bash homosexuality or bashing alternate lifestyles. It's not that. That's not the segment of the population. It's the people that are on the right, right? It's the people that are Republicans, the people that would vote for President Trump that would be against that. So we want to get your thoughts and perspective also. 702-257-5396. What do you think are going to be the major factors as we enter into the 2020 election cycle? It's going to be wild because not only do we have just the perspective of, who the candidates that were going to be involved here, whether it's Warren, whether it's Biden, whether it's Bernie Sanders, obviously going up against President Trump. You still have the impeachment angle that everyone's looking at, and the upcoming Senate trial, and how this is all going to transpire. Mitch McConnell mentioned and said, "Look, just take 2 weeks here in the holidays and enjoy your holidays with your families because it's going to get ramped up." There's no question that it's going to be intriguing, to say the least, how America responds to this election cycle. I'm telling you. And as I pointed out, JD, it's going to be about those swing states. It's going to be, and look, here is my scenario I want to put out there. I think Joe Biden's going to be the nominee. All right. We can talk about his age. We can talk about his viability. We can talk about how good a president he's going to be. We can talk about whether he's going to be a president for 4 years or 8 years. I just think that the Democrats are going to want to put the one person that they think can beat Donald Trump. For Democrats, that's what this is all about. It's not, their entire focus is and look, I'm talking as someone who would support the Democratic candidate against President Trump. Their entire focus is we need to get Donald Trump out of office. That's all that matters.
And how do you do that? You do whatever you can to be so far opposite of him. Right?
Absolutely. And you can, and look, you can subscribe.
Which is not what you need to do to beat Donald Trump.
Well, no, you can subscribe. Look,
that's the wrong thought process.
Let's think about this, right, JD? Bernie Sanders, okay? He's considered a democratic socialist, okay?
He's definitely a socialist.
You're a Republican. And there's a lot of people on that are Republicans that view Bernie Sanders almost he's a boogeyman type character, right? Like if you elect Bernie Sanders, you're just basically want to turn, you think it's okay for the United States of America to turn into a socialist country.
Yeah,
that's basically what you think.
I would
that's
say
not going to be the reality.
I don't think this way, but I think some Republicans think that Bernie Sanders is trying to turn the United States into Cuba.
Exactly.
Which is not the case. But that being said, some of the things he's proposing that him and Elizabeth Warren and AOC are proposing are pretty much impossible financially to make happen.
It's true. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. We're talking about the impeachment process, also the 2020 election cycle. Joining us on the phone lines now is Carl. Carl wants to chime in. Carl, thanks for your call. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Carl?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? I think you know what before I retired, I was in psychology, but anyway, that has nothing to do with it. But he made a speech last night, my favorite president, and he's talking about windmills. And he said, I just read a book about them, and I know more about the windmills than anybody else. He says they do nothing but pollute. Pollution comes out of it. Well, that's just ridiculous. They do just the opposite. And just the point of order there. And also, I'm used to listening to people talk. People say, oh, I can't wait till there's a debate between him and whoever runs the Democrat, or who's for the Democrats. Well, number one, Trump can't debate. He's not intelligent enough. He's too childlike to debate. All he can do is insult. If you ever listen to him, a question will be asked and he'll insult the other person's appearance or his intelligence or something.
It is interesting, right, Carl? Like people have short memories. Obviously, President Trump won the election, right? But they think back to what happened with those debates with Hillary Clinton as if Donald Trump won those debates. Donald Trump didn't win those debates. I don't understand. There's people that are Trump supporters that will tell you till the cows come home that he won those debates. But to your point, Carl, is that no, he wasn't on an intellectual level where he was, countering everything that Hillary Clinton was talking about. He wasn't breaking down policy or, just annihilating Hillary from that aspect.
But he followed her around like a stalker. He looked very weird, very creepy. And actually, sometimes I do think he's a master debater, though. I have to say that. If you know what I mean, okay. No, but really,
good one,
if you look at him, he's so childlike. He's like a kid hitting back all the time. He cannot debate anybody on an intellectual level about a point or a subject. You ask him a question about what do you think about China, he'll say, you got a big nose. I mean, it's something. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I wish people could see that, could look through the smoke screen of his non-intelligence and just see it.
Carl, we appreciate the phone call. Have a great holiday. Enjoy yourself, okay?
I'll tell you what would be hard to watch. It would be hard to watch the Donald Trump-Joe Biden debate.
Why would it be hard then?
They're both 73 to 75 years old.
Yeah, but you know the deal. They're both fiery, though, JD. That's their personality.
They both make gaffes consistent. That their content would probably not be factually accurate. I would prefer to watch Donald Trump debate a guy like a Pete Buttigieg. I think Pete Buttigieg would tear Donald Trump to pieces on the debate stage. But Donald Trump would have a significant advantage over Joe Biden for a number of reasons.
From an entertainment value, I think both debates would be interesting, both Biden and Trump, and also Buttigieg and Trump. I agree with you as far as I think. Well, look, I don't necessarily know if Buttigieg would just tear him apart, but this whole notion that President Trump is somehow this savant when it comes to his debating skills and how he's just wired in when it comes to details and policy and putting forth a cohesive argument is just ridiculous. So hey, we'll see what happens on that front though from a debate side. But he also Carl brings up another interesting point too, JD. Why does President Trump always feel the need to do this? He always comes out with I know more about the military than the generals do. I know more about policy than the lawmakers do. I know more about North Korea than the Foreign Affairs Committee does. He has this need, it seems, to just portray himself as, you know what? Not only am I informed on it, not only am I wired in on it, I know more than anybody about these topics. It's kind of strange how he does that, JD. In my opinion,
he likes to validate himself in what he says by saying, I am very, very well versed in this particular thing, so you should take what I say seriously. What I say matters. It's all about what his word is or what he's saying. It's all about it mattering.
702-257-5396 is the phone number. Give us your opinion, your take on the discussion at hand. Kevin joins us now on the phone lines. Kevin, we appreciate you taking some time.
Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Hey, guys. Two things. One was that I was thinking a good Democratic ticket would be Biden and Yang. So the truth of the matter is that Biden is a Dixiecrat. He's going to, he speaks to the white man's policies, even though he's, a Democrat. And Yang is like a new, some fresh blood that could get in there for the Democratic Party. But and I think that could be a winning ticket. The other thing is, I think is it JD?
Yes.
I've been listening to you. I've really been trying to figure you out. And some of the things that you say when you try to defend Trump is so, it's out there. But you sound like such a smart man and such a reasonable person. But when it comes to Trump, he really exposes that, as a Republican, the Republican Party that you guys so supposedly stand for is non-existent. You guys are more of a Tea Party, just win at any cost. What put food on your tables, and how do you guys just keep getting the courts, the justice systems, the institutions to lean your way, which is very dangerous because after a while, the rule of law is not going to even matter because you guys flaunt it, you break it, you ignore it when it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, and it just concerns me.
I'm sorry. So what did I say about Trump that is quote unquote out there? Because on a pretty consistent basis, do I support Donald Trump? Yes, but when he does something that I don't agree with, I say something about it pretty consistent. I don't support him to all ends, and I'm probably one of. I do that all the time. Actually, there's never been a situation where I've said, we've had callers on this show that call in. And Trump can do no wrong in their eyes, and that's not the case with me. And so I don't know where you're getting that notion from.
Yeah, I would characterize it as him defending Trump more so as he defends kind of a position that is conservative Republican.
The indefensible stuff. This man just attacked a dead man through his widow, and as a husband, as a father, as a man, you should be just. There should be a bridge too far for you, but there's just not. For Trump, you said something to the effect of, well, he did write some stuff about him when he was alive.
No, what I said was this shouldn't be a surprise that Donald Trump did what he did. Obviously, he shouldn't have done what he did, but John Dingell and Donald Trump did have some. They had some beef. It wasn't. I think what I was trying to say was that the media made it seem like he just attacked this guy for no reason, and that's not the case. John Dingell and Donald Trump had a long-standing beef.
Kevin, we appreciate.
But isn't that like preschool level?
Again, I didn't say I supported it, but I don't like the way that it's being portrayed by the left-wing media in particular.
And Kevin, we appreciate the phone call. We're up against a break though, but no question. It's when it's indefensible. That's by definition. It's tough for you to have the person's back and be able to give a rational reason why they could say that. I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with JD Sharp, and I want to bounce something else off of JD as we go to a quick break and come back. And bottom of the hour, John Schaefer with the news. It's the Vegas Take coming away live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON.
From office parties to family get-togethers, if you tend to overdrink, the holidays aren't always the most wonderful time of the year. But quitting completely? Well, that's just not realistic. Sound familiar? Meet LifeBack, a modern science-based approach that allows you to effectively cut back on your alcohol consumption. LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a need. LifeBack is completely private, with online doctor consults, medication delivered discreetly to your doorstep, coaching and support tools through the app. LifeBack has a free online doctor consultation, 30-day money-back guarantee, and costs less than 1 drink per day. Don't wait for end-of-the-year regrets. Starting the physician-approved LifeBack program now will allow you to drink normally during the holiday season and go into the new year healthier and happier. Visit lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today to learn more. That's lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today.
Do you have pain? Do you want natural relief? Tune in to Natural Pain Relief and Wellness with Dr. Devin Luzad, Spinal Care of Nevada, Sundays 10:30 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 7:20 a.m. KDON.
Join Coach Harvey Hyde and Chuck Hayes Saturday evenings from 9 to 10 p.m. for Trojan Football Report, presented by South Point Hotel and Casino, here on 101.5 FM and 720 a.m. KDWN, where Las Vegas comes to talk.
Tina Trenner is back, and she's on 720 a.m. 101.5 FM KDWN every Sunday at 12 p.m. She's sick of the nonsense and has something to say every Sunday at 12 p.m.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Trooper Chelsea Stunkel with the Nevada Highway Patrol, reminding drivers that with the recent legalization of recreational use of marijuana, it is still a form of impairment when you get behind the wheel. So please don't drive impaired. If you drive high, you will get a DUI.
Family Promise of Las Vegas, please leave a message.
I've been laid off my job, so we're facing eviction. I have 2 daughters.
I'm calling for emergency shelter for me and my 2.5-year-old son.
I'm a single father with a 14-year-old daughter looking for emergency shelter.
Join with Family Promise of Las Vegas, where our mission is to bring homeless families with children home again, one family at a time. Visit fplv.org and become a friend of our family today.
Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
This joke does not help. It is not funny in my view.
Monday edition, Vegas Take, coming away live here, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON. The talk of Las Vegas. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro, along with J.D. Sharp. We've been discussing the 2020 election cycle that we're about to embark on, and possibilities with respect to debate and who President Trump might be taking on and how intriguing it could be. And Brady joins us now on the phone lines. Brady wants to talk about what he thinks and his take as far as the Democrats in a debate against Donald Trump. Brady, what's up?
What's up, Brady?
Good morning, gentlemen.
What do you think? Donald Trump, do you like the matchups if it would be maybe against a Biden? What do you think? Against Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren? What do you think? Andrew Lang? You think they'll take?
I love the matchups against Mary Pete. He would destroy Mary Pete. He would also destroy Sleepy.
Did you just call him Mary Pete? JD, did you just call him Mary Pete?
He did call him Mary Pete. Why do you think he would destroy Pete Buttigieg?
Oh, because he's just not all there. He's 37 years old, no experience besides being a mayor.
All right, so Brady, let me get this straight. All right, if you had a choice between who's not all there, and you had Donald Trump and you had Pete Buttigieg, which one do you think, a lot of us would tend to lean towards as to the person that's, quote unquote, not all there?
I don't don't think it's going to be either one of them because due to the fact it's going to be a brokered convention. The Democrats are then going to pull somebody out of the woodwork like, say, Michelle Obama or Oprah. And you're going to see somebody like that. Or guess who? It could be the Hildebeest could be brought back, Clinton.
It's going to be one of three people. Come on, Brady. You know it's going to be Elizabeth Warren. It's going to be Joe Biden. Look, I've talked about this. Pete Buttigieg, I love the guy as far as a candidate. I love him as a prospect for the presidency, maybe in 2024 or 2028. But when it comes to a matter of a month from now, I just don't see him as being the guy. So I think
right now, did you see that Obama came out and endorsed not Creepy Joe, but Pocahontas Liz Warren? That's kind of funny, don't you think?
Well, it's not really funny. You know the deal here. What's going to happen? President Obama is going to endorse the actual candidate. Once the Democrats decide who the person is that's going to run against Donald Trump, then there's going to be everyone's going to get behind that candidate. So
yeah, but him and Joe had a bromance. Come on, man. You didn't give him nothing for their bromance. Over the 8 years they were together, he just dissed them under the table.
Oh, well, I don't know. That's a strong word, considering that he was his vice president for 8 years. And I think that, if here's the deal. You know the deal. If Joe Biden's the nominee, President Obama is going to be all behind him. It's going to be a thing where they absolutely.
Why isn't he there now? Because Creepy Joe, he doesn't even want to endorse Creepy Joe because he's so guilty from the Ukrainian state.
Oh, Ukraine. Yeah, no, yeah. He's so guilty. Yeah, there's been so many viable charges that have come out of that. Come on, Brady. I mean, there's been nothing whatsoever that's come out of that.
There haven't been charged, but there really hasn't been any type of investigation, at least a legitimate investigation. Well, and I would not be shocked if foul play, if pay to play was taking place.
You got a whole bunch of things.
Brady, we appreciate your phone call. Enjoy your holiday, my friend. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Much more of your phone calls on the other side, as well as we jump into more topics on the Vegas Take on your Monday. I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian, along with JD Sharp, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON.
Is North Korea preparing to send a Christmas gift to the United States? Correspondent Paula Hancock reports the U.S. is watching closely to see what Kim Jong-un may be up to.
Kim Jong-un will take a harder line policy when it comes to the United States, but not necessarily will there be an ICBM test or a nuclear test around Christmas. They say that is less likely. And it is what we have been hearing from some officials as well, saying that North Korea simply doesn't want to anger its main ally and trading partner, China.
Boeing CEO Dennis Muilenburg is out after a series of setbacks, including 2 fatal crashes, delays, and numerous issues with its 737 MAX airplane. Boeing's board decided to part ways with Muilenburg in part because its customers and regulators no longer trust the company's decision-making abilities. On Wall Street, stocks are up today, the Dow up about 110. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Dispatch Health. You've got a closure due to an accident. Westbound Flamingo shut down before Maryland Parkway. Forced detour there at Escondido. You can also go with Desert Inn or Tropicana as good westbound alternates. Also look out for a crash US 95 southbound at Charleston Boulevard. No issues on the 215 Beltway all the way around town. When you're sick, every minute counts. Go to dispatchhealth.com where high-quality medical care comes to you. Visit dispatchhealth.com to learn about medical professionals that make house calls. Dispatch Health, covered by most insurance. I'm JP Fox, and that's a look at the roads from the KDON Traffic Center.
Cox Business has fast, reliable internet and voice solutions. Call today and ask how you can get up to a $200 Cox Business Visa prepaid card when you switch. Call 1-800-297-2610. Card issued by Metabank. Member FDIC. Terms and expiration apply.
I'm attorney Glenn Lerner. You never saw it coming. In the blink of an eye, a car wreck has left you seriously injured. You made it to the hospital and you received medical care, but your problems have only just begun.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. After the wreck, how are you going to get the money you need to get your car fixed, for medical bills, for lost wages? How are you going to provide for your family now? Get the legal help you want when you need it most, right now.
Lerner and Rowe is the way to go. Call 877-1500.
Scott Guido, managing attorney. Kevin Rowe is only licensed in Arizona, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, and Illinois.
5 minutes of your time can change a teacher's life. The Smith Center and the Rogers Foundation ask you to nominate outstanding teachers for the Heart of Education Awards. Nominations run now through January 17th at theheartofeducation.org. 20 winners will each receive $5,000.
When you're diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer,
A lot of questions run through your mind.
what am I going to do? What are my options? What did I do wrong? We've had those thoughts too.
But some questions can help you move forward.
Visit findyourmbcvoice.com for an interactive guide to help you learn the next steps to take after an MBC diagnosis.
And how to ask the questions that lead to an open and informed conversation with your doctor.
Start finding your voice today
at findyourmbcvoice.com.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
We're certainly not far right, and I suppose anyone who's not far right, he would consider far left.
We roll along on a Monday. It's the Vegas Take coming away live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro, along with JD Sharp. But now, live in studio, he is a jack of all trades. He is our esteemed colleague. He is friend of the show and outstanding news anchor, John Schaefer. John, always good to see you.
Good to see you guys as well.
Hey, what's up, John?
Well, the investigation has begun into one of the worst fires in Las Vegas history after 6 people were killed, 13 injured, and nearly 50 others displaced from a 3-story apartment building in the downtown area Saturday. Some residents of the Alpine Motel Apartments told investigators there was no heat in the building and they were using their stoves to stay warm before the pre-dawn blaze broke out.
Not exactly great when you're using alternative options as far as your cooking going down.
That's pretty questionable. I feel like a big lawsuit is coming the Alpine Motel's way.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nevada Highway Patrol responded to 2 deadly wrong-way crashes within hours of each other in the Las Vegas area. The first happened about 11 Saturday night. A wrong-way driver hit a tractor-trailer on the 15 near Jean. Second one happened a few hours later at 2 o'clock Sunday morning on the 215. All 4 people involved in that crash were taken to UMC Trauma. Highway Patrol officials say a 41-year-old woman who was not in the wrong-way vehicle died from her injuries.
Look, it's never a great time of year to be, exercising impaired driving on the roads, and this is obviously, in the holiday season, and it tends to peak at this time of year. Just terrible decisions being made by people out there. Don't go down that road.
That's right. 24 casino properties statewide have been placed on a list of properties that failed to meet a November 1st deadline to submit updated emergency response plans for incidents ranging from active shooters to natural disasters. Casino regulators aren't saying how they're enforcing the new state law requiring 91 casinos statewide to comply. The law makes the plans confidential.
You'd think that a lot of the casino companies here in the state of Nevada would be wired in with stuff like this.
Yeah.
When it comes to security, right? We are always on the cutting edge when it comes to being up to the minute and up to date on our compliance. This is another area too where you'd expect the same thing.
I would think so.
Well, and you have to assume that a lot more goes on the Strip than is reported. I think a lot takes place on the Strip that no one ever hears about.
And we know what you're talking about there with respect to suicides and stuff like that, where it's kept under wraps, and you can kind of understand that, can't you guys? I could see why.
Yeah, that's for a reason. 51 million people visit here a year. You've got hundreds of billions of dollars being spent in the Vegas economy, and they want to make sure that stays consistent.
Absolutely. Well, do your employees spend too much time in the bathroom? A British startup called Standard Toilet is looking to redefine just that, the standard toilet, with an eye toward saving companies money. The company explains how most toilets are made with a horizontal seat, making it easy for one using it to sit relatively comfortably. As a result, the user may spend longer than necessary sitting on the toilet without short-term discomfort. Sitting on a toilet for longer than necessary is generally undesirable. But by creating a toilet that sits at an angle to the floor, the user will not be able to sit comfortably for an extended period of time. According to the company's website, the optimum angle of their toilets will be 11 to 13 degrees.
I hear this story, John, and I immediately think, JD and guys, about Horrible Bosses, the movie, Where you got where you got Jason Sudeikis is working for the son who now, because the actual owner of the company passes away, and let's put it this way, right, John? He spends a lot of time in the restroom. Yeah.
I think this will go over really, really well because I've been able to sit on a toilet for 45 minutes to an hour as long as my foot doesn't fall asleep on a pretty consistent basis and read articles and do whatever. So this is actually not a bad idea by these companies.
Yeah, and there's the distinction, right? That they're trying to make toilets that they lean forward or whatever, so that it makes it more uncomfortable for you to sit there for long periods of time.
But I think that's actually better for you to go to the bathroom like that as well. I think that's actually it's easier on your bowels.
I could see that
from what I understand.
So, John, have a great holiday. We hope you enjoy yourself. You're sporting the little VGK love in studio today after they knock off arch rival San Jose yesterday. That had to be great, right, for all the VGK fans out there to see them. They don't just get a win against the Florida Panthers.
No
they end up knocking off their hated rival in San Jose.
Exactly. Yeah, on the road, big win for the Knights.
Yeah. So, John, thanks very much for the news, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, John.
Yeah. John Schaefer, news anchor and jack of all trades here at KDWN. Join us here live in studio. Now, JD, we were talking about, of course, the debates and possible, opponents of President Trump when we roll into 2020 here and the Democrats. And in the last debate, of course, we saw the Democrats going after each other. And it wasn't a surprise because they want to point out the differences among themselves, right? And they want to point out why they feel they're a better candidate than their opponents. Well, Elizabeth Warren, again, took aim at Pete Buttigieg over a fundraiser. And, we know how the Democrats like to proceed. They like to, be portrayed as less elitist than the other Democrats that they're facing, right? And a kind of along the same lines as that, Elizabeth Warren weighed in as far as Pete Buttigieg.
The mayor just recently had a fundraiser that was held in a wine cave full of crystals and served $900 a bottle wine. Think about who comes to that. He had promised that every fundraiser he would do would be open door, but this one was closed door. We made the decision many years ago that rich people in smoke-filled rooms would not pick the next president of the United States. Billionaires in wine caves should not pick the next president of the United States.
Mr. Mayor, your response. According to Forbes magazine, I am literally the only person on this stage who's not a millionaire or a billionaire. So if this is important. This is the problem with issuing purity tests you cannot yourself pass. If I pledge never to be in the company of a progressive Democratic donor, I couldn't be up here. Senator, your net worth is 100 times mine. Now, supposing that you went home feeling the holiday spirit, I know this isn't likely, but stay with me, and decided to go on to PeteForAmerica.com and give the maximum allowable by law, $2,800. Would that pollute my campaign because it came from a wealthy person? No, I would be glad to have that support. We need the support from everybody who is committed to helping us defeat Donald Trump.
So Pete Buttigieg, look, I mean, this whole notion that Pete Buttigieg is some elitist candidate that is, more wired in with high level donors than others on that stage is laughable, right, JD? I mean, come on. It's not. Pete Buttigieg is the mayor of a city in the Midwest of around 150,000 people. It's not like Pete Buttigieg is rubbing elbows with the elite in Washington D.C. or L.A.
or Chicago
or New York or
or
Chicago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this whole thought process that Pete Buttigieg is part of the elite is just it's a joke.
He might know a couple of doctors in his hometown with a little bit of money. But I'm sure that Elizabeth Warren knows many more people who have as much money. I don't think that he was telling the truth though when he said that his net worth is 100 times less than hers because she's only worth $12 million.
Yeah, but you know the deal though, JD. He was just making a point. The numbers might not have been exact.
Yeah, I have to think he's worth at least $500,000 at this point. He's definitely not a millionaire, but I think that she definitely has him by 15 or 20 times, which is still very, very significant. But the way that he just turned that around so quickly and threw it back in her face. I mean, you have to have that type of quick wit to be successful against a guy like a Donald Trump. And that particular segment that we just listened to was exactly why I think that Pete Buttigieg would be the toughest opponent for Donald Trump on the debate stage.
You got to appreciate those skills, right? From Pete Buttigieg, at least in that perspective.
You can't teach those skills.
Yes. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Your thoughts as to this topic. We're joined now by Mike on the phone lines. Mike wants to chime in also. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Good morning, gentlemen. I kind of agree with Brady, but I think the sleeper here, as a refugee from California, I keep a track on the bums that run the state still. Even though I'm thousands of miles away, I think pretty boy Gavin Newsom's going to step in. He's a perfect candidate. He's Pelosi's nephew. Now he's got a track record of free health care for everybody. Anybody, if you're an illegal, I don't care what country you're from, just get on the other side of the border down there in California, you got free health care. So he's got a track record that they sped up. And he just went on air, I noticed. I watch One American News. They're fantastic on TV.
Oh, man. Come on now, Mike. You're killing me now. You're really going to bring up OAN as a legitimate news organization? Come on, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
You're better than that.
God.
You can come, Mike. You got to come stronger than that. OAN? Seriously? Come on. And that was funny. Mike referred to himself as a refugee.
They smoke Newsmax.
He said a refugee.
Oh, yeah. Newsmax is right there with it, too. And, yeah. I do enjoy when the founder of Newsmax does go on Fox News, though.
Mike, it appears
and tout Donald Trump a lot.
It appears as if Chris Wynn wants you to come correct.
Yes, I mean, come on, Mike, you got to be kidding me. He drops OAN there. It was funny. He called himself a refugee. So, Mike, you obviously your transplant from California to here in Las Vegas now. Is that the deal?
Oh no, I'm up in the far north, but I'm not going to reveal my location because I'm on a gold mine. But I have a disclaimer. I love everything my president that I elected is doing, but he's not doing enough. And my main stickler is abortion and corruption. But as far as the budget busting goes, I don't care anymore because I'm a gold miner, and every time he signs these $1 trillion budgets, it's guaranteed I'm going to make more money in the future.
Mike, we appreciate your phone call. Enjoy your holiday, okay? 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Here on the Vegas Take. JD, you want a point?
Yeah. Gavin Newsom, I don't think that he's going to run in 2020. I think that's just it's too far late in the game. Nobody knows who Gavin Newsom is. And
whoa. He's a prominent figure as far as Democrats are concerned. He's the governor of California. I agree with you. I don't think he's running in 2020.
He's the governor of California, then that's fine. But if free health care for everyone, I mean, that's borderline. It's borderline socialism. Yeah. So it's possible that he could run in 2024. And I think that if the Democrats, if impeachment doesn't go the way they want it to, I think that we could possibly see the end of the two-party system. I think that we could see socialism rise up in 2024 with candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Gavin Newsom. We'll assume Bernie Sanders is still around at that point. But with how everything is going, with how everybody's trying to be so opposite of Donald Trump, well, the way to do that is to go as far left as possible. And the policies that Gavin Newsom has now, Hillary Clinton, she isn't there. Joe Biden isn't there. But in 2024, I think, and also socialism is really becoming very popular, especially among young females right now, and older females, and young people in general. You know, college students, they're kind of adapting to it. So I think that we could really see socialism rear its head in 2024.
I think you're taking Gavin Newsom way too far left. He's not Bernie Sanders. Gavin Newsom is more moderate than I would tend to agree with you on that aspect.
Chris, free healthcare for everyone.
Well, that's a policy that's been implemented in California. It's not just Gavin Newsom that said, "This is my thing, and I'm going to storm forward with this." It was something that was decided among lawmakers there in California. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. JD joins the show now. JD has a take on 2020. What's going on, sir?
Hey, what's up, JD?
Well, Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
I'd love to see a Joe Biden and Donald Trump debate, but JD, he just had his 77th birthday, November the 20th. That's Biden. He would be 78 next November. So I think Mr. Biden is past his use-by date.
Yeah, I think.
Isn't Donald Trump in his 70s as well?
He's 70.
I mean, we're talking about two guys in
He's
their
73. 73 and 77.
If they were in high school, yeah, one would be a senior and one would be a freshman.
Joe Biden, to me, I've watched a lot of his interviews, a lot of his videos in the last 3 to 6 months. He does not look healthy to me. He doesn't sound healthy to me. I would not be shocked if some type of health incident took place in the next 6 to 9 months that actually knocked him out of the race.
They just asked him in the last debate about his age and being president. He said he quoted Churchill as being the oldest president. Churchill's wife was an American citizen, but not Churchill. The man does not, Trump does not know how to speak many times. JD, it's funny, sometimes I'm listening to him and he starts his sentence in the middle of the sentence. I don't know what the front part of the sentence is, but I don't think, I think they had 28 total candidates in the Democratic run-up. I think they're down to about 12. I don't think any one of those candidates is going to be able to get elected against Trump. I sort of agree with Mike and Brady. Somebody has to pop out of nowhere because I thought Steyer was going to be the guy with all of his money, but once he gets on stage, he's a drone. What's his name? Bloomberg is a drone, and the rest of them are making promises that they know they cannot keep, and they're just trying to fool the young people that think everything is going to be for free. If any one of them ever got in power, not one of the things that they're promoting, free this, free that, they've come up with new things now. Bernie has come up with new free things. I can't even remember how crazy they are. But I don't think
the problem is there's a chain effect to logistically to making all those things happen that no one ever discusses. What are your thoughts on Mayor Pete?
There's so many things that are good about the young fella, and that's the problem. Number one, he's a young fella. He's only 37 years old.
Right.
As Klobuchar has pointed out, he couldn't win in Indiana. He ran for a state office, and he only got like 22,000 votes. To be mayor of South Bend, he got 14,000. I was in South Bend in Notre Dame a few years ago, and it's a slum. It is really, you would hardly believe that Notre Dame campus is surrounded by a slum, but that's what it is. So he hasn't done anything good as a mayor. I thought the same thing about Obama in 2008, that it wasn't his time, but he would get elected probably in 2016. I was wrong then. I don't know. I think he's just too young and, not long enough in the tooth. But who knows? The times are changing. In 8 years, like I think you said, JD, in 8 years he might be more palatable to the voting public. And I appreciate JD, standing up a little more. It's your show, and I appreciate when you try to tell your partner there that it's
just in case you're wondering, my name is Chris, JD. And I think you do know my name, but he doesn't want to mention it. That's okay.
He acts like it's his show, not that you're a co-host. I mean, it's amazing how much you put up with that moron.
Hey, JD, have a Merry Christmas. Thanks very much for your input.
JD.
We appreciate it. And also your critique as far as, the structure of the show. We always do. We always love it when you chime in on that
Brian
angle.
Shapiro is not a moron, but he is very, very opinionated. And a lot of the time, his opinion is going to be different than the listener's opinion, which may make them think that he's a moron.
And I do approach it a little bit differently. Obviously, you would think that Brian might have a little bit different reaction to what JD just spouted off there at the end of the call than I did. So we'll just leave it alone. I like to take the high road when it comes to that. 702-257-5396. We're discussing the possible opponents of President Trump and the debates, what they may look like as we roll into 2020 here. We're just days away, folks. This whole thing, you guys, about presidents and about this whole thing regarding somebody jumping in, JD, you, JD, and the caller brought up. We're like 12 months. We're not even 12 months away from the election. Yeah, but there's nobody else that jumped. Michael Bloomberg jumping in, quote unquote, was a surprise to a lot of us.
People know what
there's nobody else.
People know
there's
what
no Gavin
Bloomberg is, but he
Newsom.
isn't a personality. You would.
But you know what I'm saying, JD. There's not gonna be somebody jumping out of the bushes.
I'm not saying that's
and becoming the Democratic nominee. It's not happening.
I could see a Michelle Obama. I could see maybe an Oprah Winfrey, but Oprah, Michelle Obama, maybe a Hillary Clinton, a female, probably a strong female of color would be something that I could see taking place.
But Kamala Harris was just in the race. She was just there.
Yeah, but she doesn't have that brand. You know, she had a lot of baggage with how she handled things in California. You saw
about this, JD,
you
off
saw
the top
what
of your
you
head.
saw what Tulsi Gabbard, who is now persona non grata for voting president.
I understand that.
You saw how she kind of destroyed her in the debate. I think that a Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, maybe somebody along those lines, if they came in late with how social media is and how fast news travels, I think that could probably put a dent in Trump's armor at this point, and he would have issues with them on a debate stage. But outside of that, I don't see anybody else trying to come in this race late that's going to make any impact whatsoever. And again, they have to have the money. Michelle Obama definitely has the money. Oprah Winfrey has more money than Trump does, which it would be an interesting kind of thing because Trump's always been the wealthy guy. He's always been the richest guy in the room. Well, with Oprah Winfrey, a female, you're not the richest guy, you're not the richest person in the room with Oprah Winfrey. And I think that could be a really interesting dynamic. I wonder how he would respond to that. But outside of those two women, nobody coming in is going to make any difference whatsoever.
I just don't see it happening. That's my take. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Jared joins us now here on the show. Jared, we appreciate your phone call. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Jared?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hanging out.
Definitely interesting conversation here. I think Mayor Pete has a really good chance of pulling this off. I think he's got a great opportunity to possibly become the president of the United States. And, that would be a great accomplishment for people who follow him. I think, as a reprobate sodomite, the moral stance of America is coming more in line with degradation, licentiousness, and something like this has been prophesied in the Bible, and I just think it's great to see the works coming forward and how everything has been prophesied. So I think this would be, I think he's got a great chance.
Let me throw this out there. Look, it's the purple, rainbow-colored elephant in the room. I don't know if America's ready to have a first husband in the White House when the president of the United States is a man. I just don't know.
Really,
look, maybe I'm being primitive.
I mean,
I just don't see America accepting that just yet.
Marijuana's being legalized all over the place. Sports gambling's being legalized.
A little bit different than a first husband.
These are taboo things.
No doubt.
No,
doubt.
Marijuana
right.
was taboo. Homosexuality for a long time was taboo. Sports gambling was taboo. Are we going to see it in Utah? No. Is Pete Buttigieg ever going to win Utah? Probably not.
Right.
But I agree. I think, and by the way, you have a giant vocabulary, so congrats on that. But I think that we really don't know, because does the average person, do they really care if a man is married to another man? Because that's all it really comes down to. Yeah. Does that affect their life enough to make them, especially if he handles himself very well on stage, especially if his policy now. And I also think that Pete Buttigieg, the fact that he is a homosexual, is going to help him win the Democratic nominee. I think that's actually going to be that's going to play in his favor. Now, long term, if he goes up against Donald Trump, his policy will have to move a little bit more towards the center, which again that could definitely take place. But without his policy moving towards more the center, he's going to have some issues.
702-257-5396 is the phone number. Do we have time for one more call? I think we squeeze one more in here. Linda joins us on the phone lines. Linda, she wants to take up for you, JD, in this category. Linda, what's going down?
Hey, what's up, Linda?
Hi. I'm not going to talk about who's going to run against who, but I just want to stick up for JD from that caller from a while ago, because I think that guy, whoever it was, he probably hears you, but he really doesn't listen to you, because I think you're spot on about everything you say. And when you try to explain, when the caller calls in defending Trump and they don't come across quite right, you explain what they're trying to say. So I love your guys' show. I love listening to you, JD. I'm a Trump supporter too. And as far as what he said about that guy, the guy who had passed away,
right.
First he said he's probably looking down, and then he said, well, he's probably looking up. I really don't know.
Yeah, well, he basically was making an inference that he was, that he was down in hell. Basically, is what the
right. I'm not saying that I agree with it.
There was no shock. There was no ambiguity.
My issue is that the media made it seem like he just attacked this guy for no reason, and that is definitely not the case.
Right, and you don't go by everything Trump says. He says outrageous things, and you talk about it in the true Trump supporters like myself, too, I disagree with him a lot, but I still love him. I think he's doing a great job. And I don't know how the Democrats could walk around and be proud to be a Democrat and hold their heads high after what they've been trying to crucify Trump since he's been elected.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that characterization. It's not them crucifying. It's mistakes that he's made on his own part that are the reason he got impeached. Linda, have a great holiday. We appreciate your phone call, okay?
All right, thanks for the call, Linda. Thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, it's the Vegas Take coming away live here on a Monday. I'm Chris Wynn, the other guy in here for Brian Shapiro, along with JD Sharp here live in studio. On the other side of the break, we're going to be joined. Look, the holiday season and Christmas has a lot of festivities. There's a lot going on, obviously, in this upcoming week. There's also a lot of NBA basketball coming up on Wednesday. We've got a number of games. We'll get into that as well as other topics, NBA topics, with our NBA insider, Jamieson Welsh, as he joins the Vegas Take. Coming up live next here on the Vegas Take, Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro with JD Sharp at the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, Protect My Car is announcing a low-cost extended service plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay nothing for auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay nothing for auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-338-8623 now. Drivers who are covered by Protect My Car will not have to pay for a covered repair bill again. This auto coverage is at an all-time low, much lower than what dealerships are charging. Additionally, drivers who activate this auto coverage today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and free car rental at no additional cost. Call Protect My Car for your free quick quote today. 800-338-8623. 800-338-8623. What do you have to lose? Again, 800-338-8623.
Parents, you always say you want what's best for your children. If that's the case, then you should be bringing your kid to Infinity, the Math Institute, where every student earns an A or B in math. Our results are proven and they are amazing. The best tutoring service for the best price, whether online or in person, small group or one-on-one. You cannot get better results. Great grades will come when your child truly understands the math. From elementary math to calculus, we have the best tutors, the best materials, and the best results. Now offering free parent seminars on how to better help your child, what is Common Core, and more. Find out why parents are bragging and students are enjoying school again by calling 702-768-1777. That's 702-768-1777, or visit themathinstitute.com today. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you, because at Infinity, you don't get more math problems, you get solutions.
The only FM news talk station in the Valley. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
McConnell deciding, blocking McGahn. I'm Mike Moss. Senate Leader Mitch McConnell says he is still considering whether to allow witnesses and documents to be used in the Senate trial of President Trump.
As I've said repeatedly, we can't take up a matter we don't have. And so hopefully they'll be on the way over at some point.
Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer says witnesses and documents are key to making sure the Senate trial is fair. The administration is also working to block the testimony of the president's former lawyer, Don McGahn. Correspondent Evan Perez reports.
There's a judge that has ruled that McGahn should provide testimony to the House inquiry, but the Justice Department now says that that's not appropriate right now, simply because the House has already voted to impeach the president, and we're waiting on a Senate trial, which has to do with obstruction issues. So they're asking the appeals court essentially to stay out of this fight.
A big corporate shakeup today. Boeing has fired CEO Dennis Muhlenberg after the crashes of two 737 MAX jets and the inability of Boeing to convince regulators the plane is now safe to fly. Correspondent Claire Sebastian with more.
This is, in the views of many people, the biggest crisis that Boeing has faced in its more than 100-year history. It just recently took the decision to suspend production of the 737 MAX from January. That is a huge decision that will ripple throughout the supply chain, thousands and thousands of companies, and could, in fact, affect the GDP of the U.S. economy overall.
The French Defense Ministry now says it has carried out its first armed drone strike. The strike killed 7 Islamic extremists in central Mali over the weekend. The drone deployment came nearly 1 month after 2 French helicopters collided in Mali and killed 13 soldiers, the deadliest military loss for France in nearly 4 decades. On Wall Street, the Dow up 104 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by KFC. You've got several accidents to look out for. Valley View southbound, right at US 95. You have an accident there. That's on the right shoulder. US 95 northbound at Valley View. You got a crash there on the exit ramp. And look out for a wreck on the 215 Beltway eastbound east of Windmill Lane. That is blocking the left lane. With 8 pieces of chicken and all the fixins, KFC's $20 fill-up is the perfect holiday meal for your friends or family. Order ahead or get it delivered on KFC.com. I'm JP Fox, and that's a look at the roads from the KDON Traffic Center.
This holiday season, get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences, and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale. Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who owes back taxes, if you get nervous when the mail comes because you might get a letter from the IRS, then you've heard. Their enforcement agents are cracking down this year and can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk over unpaid taxes. It's all true, but it's also true there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, an important government program for tax debt assistance. The award-winning experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best deal possible, protecting your paycheck and your assets from IRS collections. But don't delay, because the IRS is tacking on interest and hefty penalties every single day. So don't wait until it's too late. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Views Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever, 99 cents, plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Do you have pain? Do you want natural relief? Tune in to Natural Pain Relief and Wellness with Dr. Devin Luzad, Spinal Care of Nevada, Sundays 10:30 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
The Las Vegas Health and Fitness Chamber, a nonprofit organization, offers many membership benefits to both business and individuals. Reach us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or on the website, VegasHealthFitnessChamber.com.
The Vegas Strong Resiliency Center is a safe haven, a place for residents, visitors, and responders affected by the tragic events of the 1 October shooting incident. Staffed with compassionate professionals, services include victim advocacy and support, counseling referrals, and help accessing the FBI's Victim Assistance Services website. The center is located at 1524 Pinto Lane. It's open weekdays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. For more information, call 702-455-AID or 1-833-2998.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
2 hours down, 1 to go here. The Vegas Take coming away live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro, along with JD Sharp here live in studio. Stein, Campaign, Johnny, the whole gang is here. We're on Christmas Eve, JD. And bottom of this hour, we'll be joined by Alex Valentine. He's going to give us his perspective from down in L.A. Star Wars, Rise of the Skywalker, the big winner at the box office the last couple of days, but failed to match what its precedenters have done in the Star Wars saga, I should say. So we'll talk to him at the bottom of the hour. But joining us now live on the phone lines, he's a friend of the show, also does a tremendous job when it comes to covering all things NBA. You can follow him at the Jamieson on Twitter with 2 E's. Jamieson Welsh join us now on the Vegas Take. Jamieson, we appreciate you spending a little time and appreciate it.
Not a problem, guys. Thanks for having me as always. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. What's up, Jamieson?
Not much, man. Holiday week, it's pretty busy, all as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
tons of NBA basketball. We're going to get into some of those games with you, Jamieson, but we want to hit on a couple stories that that raised their head in the last week or so in the NBA. One of them, of course, was Kevin Garnett, obviously former NBA star, future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And he talked about what happened back in the matchups between his team and the Celtics back in the day. And he had some an interesting perspective, to say the least, when talking about LeBron James in those Cleveland days. And he was absolutely wired in when it came to his perspective. Johnny, you have the audio of what Kevin had to say with respect to LeBron.
You're trying to get in his head. You feel like you can break LeBron at this point.
We broke LeBron.
In Game 5.
So get your out of here with that, all right? You understand how you got the Cleveland, how you got the Miami bill? You remember
That's
that?
true. You broke him in 2010.
So remember that, all right?
Fair
so
enough.
Stop bringing that up, all right?
Fair enough.
So they was talking to him, okay? The media. And the league knew that they had an agenda in which we wasn't part of the agenda. You understand? Right. And that's how they ended up winning that series. Yeah, I said it.
It seems like every era, right, Jamieson, that you have to have a nemesis in the NBA, right? You got to have your yin against their yang. There's somebody that you need to have a focus on. And Kevin Garnett, it's a pretty apparent he has an opinion with respect to LeBron James.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a good little rivalry. I mean, they matched up, twice, or actually, three times. Twice in 2008. They skipped 2009 and then 2010. When he was with the Cavs and going forward, they matched up a couple of times when he was with the Heat as well. I mean, it was a really big rivalry. I mean, it was really big. It was usually for who's going to the finals. So it was an important matchup and an important series. However, no one broke LeBron. Like, nothing broke LeBron. Like, the Celtics definitely didn't do that because he wound up getting the best of them more often than not. With that being said, KD's a funny character. He's a guy that does a lot of wild things, and certain things add up, some don't. But he didn't break LeBron. That didn't happen. Like, I'll tell you what broke LeBron. Having sorry co-stars and having Mo Williams and Larry Hughes and Andrew Varejao, guys like that, broke LeBron, if anything. I think having, a subpar, cast members, that hurt more than anything. Having Mike Brown, who wasn't a great coach, wasn't a bad coach either, but wasn't the guy who was going to get you over the top, that hurt. That broke LeBron more than anything. Nothing the Celtics really did really worked with him. He still, the Game 7 08, he had one of the best Game 7s ever. So it doesn't really work that way. He really didn't break LeBron. Just didn't have the, just didn't really have it. So with that being said, I will say the Celtics did had a nice run. But for a team that won one ring, the Celtics getting the most out of that one ring I've ever seen. Like, that's not the case.
Yeah, that's it. And you're right. The supporting cast that Garnett had compared to LeBron was, I mean, I guess LeBron did have Zerundas Ilgauskas. He had Mo
Big
Williams.
Z.
He did have Anderson Varejao. Yeah. He had Matthew Dellavedova. I mean, who else did he have, Jamieson? Who would you say his
Well, Dellavedova was later, right? That was
that was
that was later. Okay. Delonte West.
I think West was on that team, right?
West, Sasha Kalvachek, all those guys. But here's the thing. That really doesn't work when you're playing against three Hall of Famers.
Well, exactly.
Maybe before Rondo gets in somehow, some way. So that's not going to work. But my thing is this. The Cavs really mismanaged LeBron's first 7 years there. They really could have did some things. But they made some horrible decisions, some horrible, signings and trades that really didn't make sense, especially looking back on it. You really just didn't understand what they were doing. And that, to me, broke LeBron more than anything because LeBron figured out the business of basketball before a lot of other players did. And that's why he had the decade he had, is because he made certain moves to understand, to put himself in a better position going forward. And that's why he is one of the best players to ever play, because he put himself in a position to win.
So speaking of the Cleveland Cavaliers, a current player went off and had a big-time game last Wednesday, and that brought to heart another story, Jamieson, I want to ask you about. Obviously, it's always intriguing for us to get NBA legends as color commentators or in-studio analysts because they have, an interesting perspective that they can bring to certain topics. Well, that was the case, is NBA legend Scottie Pippen wanted to weigh in regarding James Harden dropping 55 on the Cavs on Wednesday. Pippen wasn't exactly calling it impressive. In fact, he was talking about James Harden and in terms of that he was just launching shots rather than playing, well, real team basketball. Pretty interesting way to look at it, right, Jamieson, considering, Scottie Pippen is a guy that played with arguably the greatest player. I think, obviously, I don't know if it's arguable. He is the greatest player of all time. And in Michael Jordan and seeing, some those one-sided, one-player games that Jordan played in back in the day. But your thoughts on Scottie Pippen weighing on as far as James Harden is concerned?
So James Harden brings a lot of interesting opinions out of a lot of people. Me personally, I think what Harden's doing is amazing. If you're averaging 38, 39 points in the NBA season, per game, you're doing something right.
Well, and 8 and 6.
How do you get it? If you shoot 20 free throws a game, God bless you. You're getting 39 points in the NBA game is very, very, very good. There's a lot of players who have played a long time that will never see 39 points in a game. So for what he's doing on a nightly basis, it's very impressive. The old guys, the Pippins, the Barkleys, those guys are always going to hate on this newer generation. It's just how it goes. Now, the one thing I do agree with a lot of the older players that the style of play doesn't work come playoff time. You're going to need to do something different. And that remains to be seen. To this point, it has not worked. However, the way this league is, the way this era is when it comes to defenses and the way the game is called, Harden is doing what's right there in front of him. He's doing what he's supposed to do. I just want to see how is it going to work when the shot doesn't fall and the calls aren't going his way. Then what happens in a playoff, especially if Russell Westbrook is as streaky of an outside shooter as he has been the last couple of years. What's going to happen then? Because that's when things are different. Regular season's different. Regular season, you play a team once. If they had a back-to-back or if they're in the middle of a 3-game or 5 night, the preparation is not the same as in a playoff series where you're seeing a team for 2 weeks straight and all your coaches are focusing on how to slow them down. So that's the only thing I agree with the older guys with. But during regular season, James Harden's put on an impressive performance every night, it seems like, and no one should be hating on it. It's a very, very impressive. And 38, 39 points for a guy at 6'5", that's amazing.
Yeah, especially with I just think his hand-eye coordination is next level. His offensive game, because he doesn't dunk it that often. He has a very good Euro step. Obviously, he's got this new shot where he jumps off 1 foot and somehow that goes in. But averaging 38, 6, and 8, which is what he's doing right now. Michael Jordan I think he was the last person to average 38 plus in a game. Am I correct?
Yeah. 39. 39 points. I don't think anyone's averaged 39. Harden's right around that right now. 39 is like Wilt stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's it. However, I will say this pace and the type of game we have now, it's unfortunate we didn't see the players of the past. We didn't see Kobe or Michael in this particular system. Hell, even a young LeBron in this system would be amazing because this is the way the possessions. They did a comparison of the Suns back in the mid-2000s to now, and the Suns were ranked like dead last in pace. And they were breakneck fast 10, 15 years ago. So that's just the difference. That's the difference of the games. But again, don't hate on James Harden. He's doing an amazing job.
And I'll tell you this: I don't really trust the Rockets in the playoffs right now because you look at their stats. They're in the bottom 10 field goal percentage wise. They're in the bottom 10 3-point percentage wise. But you've still got Harden dropping 40 a game, and that means that his supporting cast is doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, especially with Gordon being out. So the Lakers are 24-4 now, I believe, after the loss against the Nuggets last night. LeBron James sits out. Doesn't say it's load management related, but they have a commanding position in the West, obviously. Do you see him sitting out more often? Because obviously they need to reserve his minutes for the playoffs. But do you see him sitting a little bit more often in the near future and then just dropping some games in the process?
Well, so here's the thing. They got off to a really good start, which a lot of people criticize. The schedule was what it was, but when you look at their schedule, they're 8-6. They lost 6 games. They're 8-6 versus teams above 500,
right?
And I believe 18-0 or 16-0 versus teams that are not. So they've done what they're supposed to do. They've taken care of business. And like anything else, this goes for any sport. If you take care of business versus the teams you're supposed to, and you go like 500 or slightly above 500 versus the good teams, you're going to have a very good record. And that's what the good teams do. Now, they have a very flawed roster. And for them to be at 24-6 the roster they have is very impressive because they lack playmakers and they can use a little bit more outside shooting. But with that being said, when you have 2 top 10 players or top 5 or 7, how you want to categorize the 2 guys they have, you're going to be in every game if those guys are healthy. It looks like Anthony Davis had a little scare last night. He tweaked the knee. He should be okay going forward, but you never know. LeBron has some sort of slight rib injury. They did hold him out last night. But again, when you're 24-6, you can hold guys out. If you're 500, you got to play guys.
Right.
That's the difference. And that's why you take advantage early. You put yourself in position to be able to rest guys here and there. If you drop a game, it's not a big deal. Now, if they were, 18-12, totally different story. So they're in a good shape, and they have a couple more tough games. They have the Clippers on Christmas. They have Portland and I believe Dallas this weekend. And then after that, the schedule eases up. They have like the Pelicans and the Suns to open up the new year. Up until MLK Day, their schedule is pretty light. So they're going to be okay going forward. They're going to be in a position to finish out this month pretty strong if guys are healthy and going into the new year pretty strong.
So you mentioned one of the Lakers' upcoming opponents, the Dallas Mavericks. They're actually having a very good season themselves. I believe they're 19-10 or 20-9, despite the fact that Doncic has been out the last 4 games with the ankle injury. Do you think that they are for real and to be reckoned with in the West?
They are for real because they have great coaching. Especially they have an all-star in Luka. They have another guy that will be an all-star when healthy in Porzingis. And you have probably a top 3 coach in the league. I can make an argument he's the second best coach in the league in Rick Carlisle. So when you have that mixture, you have role players that know what they're doing, comfortable in their roles, you're going to be in great, great shape going forward. My thing is this. Eventually, those role players are not going to make the threes that they're making.
Right.
I want to see what happens when the 3 ball's not going down for them. Then we'll have the Tim Hardaway Jr.'s, Dwight Powell, those kind of guys. I want to see what happens when those guys' shots aren't falling. Then what? But they play pretty good defense. Team defense, they're a very solid team. Luke is, on offense, he's amazing. Defense, he's still trying to figure it out, but he's still young. He's under 21, so he's going to hopefully get better on that side. But no, they are for real. However, they've never been to the playoffs as a unit, so I wouldn't put too much hopes into them. They have to take their playoff chops like everybody else. They may get around, but that second round is going to be tough against whoever they play, whether it's the Lakers or Clippers, Denver, whomever it is. But they are going to get to the playoffs, and when that happens, who knows what may happen.
NBA insider Jamieson Welsh joining us here on the Vegas Take. Chris Wynn along with JD Sharp here live in studio. You can follow Jamieson at the Jamieson on Twitter with 2 E's for all things NBA. So we got a full slate coming up on Wednesday, Jamieson, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time as the Celtics are in Toronto to take on the Raptors. Then you've got Rockets, Warriors, Pelicans, Nuggets. The Bucks are in Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. And then the Battle of Los Angeles closes it out at 5 o'clock our time with the Clippers taking on the Lakers. You think about that slate, Jamieson. Which one of those games intrigued you? Because, look, we understand that the Warriors and Rockets was supposed to be kind of a marquee game, not necessarily the case anymore given the injuries. Which one of those matchups intrigues you the most?
Yeah, that's a nap time game. We're not worried about that.
Right? Yeah.
We'll be taking a nap.
Wait a minute. You don't want to. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see all those rookies and you don't want to see Poole and all those guys out there taking the court for the Warriors.
Cool. I'm good. I mean, I've seen enough Draymond for the last 5 years. I can take a break.
Yep.
The Warriors will be back next year, though. I will say they have a lot of options. They're gonna have a top 3 pick, and they're gonna have some trading chips. If they want to make a big splash, they can. They're not getting Giannis, but they have a lot of options to what they can do this upcoming year.
I really hope they don't get Giannis. That would be a problem.
No, they're not going to.
Okay,
they're not
good.
Going to. That's a different story for a different day. With that being said, they're going to make a big move. But this year, the redshirt year, we don't need to see them on Christmas. We actually need that game flexed, if possible. Pelicans, Nuggets, need that game flexed. Celtics, Raptors, even though the Raptors, are missing like half their team, they actually came back from 30 versus Mavericks last night. So we know they're going to give a big fight. We don't know if they're going to win, but we know they're going to put up a big fight early at 9 a.m. our time. The Celtics should win, but the Raptors are tough. The Bucks Sixers should be the best game of the day. That should be the best game.
I think so.
Because you got the 2 best teams in the East, talent wise, everything that's constructed. The Sixers are still trying to find themselves. Another team that has identity flaws, roster flaws as well, but they're so damn talented. You take your chances with what they have. I don't know how well coached they are. I think they could be better coached. With that being said, they're to me the biggest threat to the Bucks out east, and I think this is a potential Eastern Conference Finals matchup, and I think this is probably the best game. So I think you have Bucks, Sixers, Lakers, Clippers, Celtics, Raptors, and the other 2 they can flex out. However, I think going forward, the NBA should have more games on Christmas to have the ability to flex out games in scenarios like this.
So the NBA trade deadline will be coming up, what, a month roughly?
February 7th, I believe.
Have you heard of any potential deals that could be coming through, and what do you see taking place? What teams do you think need to make moves?
Well, every team needs to make a move because there's no favorite. Like right now, there's no Warriors of the last 4 years where it's theirs to lose, and if something happens, it's ran. Like no, like everyone needs to make a move. Everyone needs to get better. Lakers, as we talked about earlier, need a playmaker, need some more shooting. The Clippers, they can use a better big or more bigs. They can always improve the point guard position because Patrick Beverley is who he is. The Nuggets, they have a lot of roster replication. They can always kind of figure some things out and go for a bigger fish to put them over the hump. The one name I always keep on hearing is Robert Covington. He's a 3-and-D guy. He has a really good contract. He makes like $11 million a year, which is not bad for what he produces. So he's a guy that's always going to be rumored. The T-Wolves have been terrible, and they lost 12 in a row. If I'm not mistaken, 12 or 13 in a row. They've been in a really, really bad spot. It wouldn't surprise me to see them blow it up just based off of the situation that they're in. It's unfortunate, but it's time. Whether they get rid of Teague or Wiggins or whatever they do, they'll keep Towns, of course. The rest of that roster is bad. So I can see them trading away some of their role players and trying to figure things out going forward. The Pelicans are going to trade J.J. Redick. There's no point of having him on a team that's in last place in the conference. There's teams that can use his shooting. Even though he's terrible defensively in the playoffs, he's really good at shooting, so he can help a lot of teams space the floor. So seeing him move would not be a surprise at all. But other than that, we kind of have to see. But if you're a Lakers fan, don't be surprised to see Kyle Kuzma moved. He's a guy that can get a big contract this offseason. He has not played to those kind of expectations. So the Lakers have an interesting situation. Do you try to go for it now and trade one of your pretty much your only trade chip and improve the roster? Or you keep him hoping he gets better and figures it out? It wouldn't surprise me to see him be moved by February.
So one of the teams that has a lot of shooters like J.J. Redick already, especially on their bench, is the Milwaukee Bucks. I've watched them play quite a few times. They're probably the deepest team in the NBA, top to bottom right now. Do you think that they are the favorite? Are they your favorite to win the NBA title?
Nah, no way. The reason why I say that is this is all regular season stuff. We saw this last year.
Yeah.
We saw this last year. This is nothing new. But we saw all this, make a bunch of threes and all this and that. In the playoffs, it's way different. Now, Giannis has gotten better. He definitely has gotten better. However, I want to see the consistent second option, whether it's Middleton, Bledsoe, George Hill, whomever it's going to be. That's what I need to see step up because I know what Giannis is going to do. Giannis is going to get his 25, 30, no matter what. It might be rough, but he's going to get it. The rest of the guys, I don't know about. I don't trust those other guys hitting open and big shots because they didn't do it last year. From games 3 to 6 in that conference finals, they just didn't do it. And that, to me, is a huge red flag. I got to see it before I believe it.
We're going to transition to college basketball really quick. Who do you have right now as your sleeper team? Because there is not a dominant team in college basketball. At least I haven't seen one. I mean, the 5 number ones have lost for the first time, I think, in history. Who is your dominant? Who is your favorite right now in college basketball, and who is your sleeper to win the national title?
Gonzaga is the favorite. I mean, they've looked the most impressive to me. For the schedule they've played thus far, and for what's taking place in the country, they have been the most consistent. They've gone and played a lot of big schools, and it's worked out in their favor. So to me, that's been impressive. With that being said, there's been a lot of disappointing teams. We saw Kentucky twice last week. They're definitely disappointing. A sleeper team is kind of odd because we have so much parity in college basketball. There's a lot of reasons for that. That's probably a different discussion for a different day. But San Diego State has been very surprising. I did not see this coming. I did not see an undefeated team, even though they barely beat San Jose State, who was at a rough, last few years.
Right.
But San Diego State has been very surprising. I did not expect this at all. Not one bit at all.
Jamieson Welsh joining us. You can follow him at the Jamieson on Twitter with 2 E's. He is wired in all things NBA. And, of course, we've got that full slate coming up on Christmas Day. Jamieson, have a great holiday week. Enjoy your basketball on Wednesday. We now know that you're going to be taking your midday nap during the Rockets-Warriors game on Wednesday. So
do not disturb, and TV's going off. I stay on electricity, so.
We appreciate you spending some time. We'll talk to you again soon, okay, buddy?
Oh, not a problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jamieson.
Yeah, there you go. Jamieson Welsh, NBA insider. Yeah, there's some matchups on Wednesday that we're all going to be in tuned on, but there are a couple of snoozers on there also as well. So I guess you got a little mix if you're an NBA fan. Coming up next here, the Vegas Take will be joined, and we'll actually be joined by Alex Valentine at the back end of the segment. But when we come right back, a legend returns to a staple in American television. We'll talk about that and much more as we continue on the Vegas Take. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro and J.D. Sharp at the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON.
From office parties to family get-togethers, if you tend to overdrink, the holidays aren't always the most wonderful time of the year. But quitting completely? Well, that's just not realistic. Sound familiar? Meet LifeBack, a modern science-based approach that allows you to effectively cut back on your alcohol consumption. Using medication that's clinically proven to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a need. Plus, LifeBack is completely private with online doctor consults, medication delivered discreetly to your doorstep, and coaching and support tools through the app. LifeBack comes with a free online doctor consultation and 30-day money-back guarantee, and the program costs less than 1 drink per day. Don't wait for end-of-the-year regrets. Starting the physician-approved LifeBack program now will allow you to drink normally during the holiday season and go into the new year healthier and happier. Visit lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today to learn more. That's lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.
Hi, Doug Basham here. Join me Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4, and I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Saturday afternoons, 2 to 4. Be there.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? If being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. Because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
At the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid, we provide more than $150 billion each year in grants, loans, and work-study funds. Learn more at studentaid.gov.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
A court in Saudi Arabia has sentenced 5 people to death for the killing of Washington Post columnist and royal family critic Jamal Khashoggi. The grisly murder of the Saudi consulate in Istanbul drew international condemnation and cast a cloud of suspicion over Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. We get more from correspondent Steve Kastenbaum.
The secret trial resulted in 5 men being sentenced to death for participating in the killing of Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, but there was no mention of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who the CIA believes ordered the killing of the Washington Post journalist.
Khashoggi's son says that he has achieved what he wanted, which was justice being served in his father's killing. Baba Ram Das, the 1960s counterculture spiritual leader who experimented with LSD and traveled to India to find enlightenment, has died at the age of 88. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by KFC. You've got several accidents to look out for. Valley View southbound, right at US 95. You have an accident there. That's on the right shoulder. US 95 northbound at Valley View. You got a crash there on the exit ramp. And look out for a wreck on the 215 Beltway eastbound east of Windmill Lane. That is blocking the left lane. With 8 pieces of chicken and all the fixins, KFC's $20 fill-up is the perfect holiday meal for your friends or family. Order ahead or get it delivered on KFC.com. I'm JP Fox, and that's a look at the roads from the KDON Traffic Center.
What's your reason to do LASIK? No need to put it off any longer this summer. Dr. Kent Welsh at Welsh Vision Institute is here to improve your vision for a better outlook on life.
My reason? I want to wake up and see, and to stop paying for glasses and contacts. LASIK is a permanent solution for a low-maintenance lifestyle.
My reason? I want a board-certified, non-corporate chain, top doc surgeon who I can trust to perform my LASIK.
Whatever your reason, schedule your free one-on-one LASIK consultation at Welsh Vision Institute by the end of the month and receive $1,000 off LASIK. On top of that, we offer 0% financing for 2 full years. Welsh Vision Institute now has 3 convenient locations no matter where you're located. We're close. Call 702-733-2020 or visit welshvision.com to book your free consultation. Don't wait any longer. Now is the time to get the clear vision you deserve. Certain restrictions apply. Financing with approved credit.
O'Reilly. Need a last-minute gift? O'Reilly Auto Parts has you covered. We have several options for gifts under $20, like a digital tire gauge, a 20-in-1 multi-tool, storage containers, or even a universal backup camera. Or you can't go wrong with an O'Reilly gift card. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Does your child love math? Do they just love math so much that once they finish their homework, they want to work on extra math problems just for fun? Anyone? If you answered no, then you are not alone. While your child may not think math is important for their future, we know better. That's because Infinity the Math Institute offers the best math tutors in Las Vegas, produces the best results at the best prices for kids of all ages. Infinity the Math Institute does it all. Does your child need prep for the SATs? Right now, SAT preparation classes in November are just $15. Fractions, algebra, geometry, decimals, you name it. Plus, Infinity offers homeschool programs, free seminars for parents and students. And whether your child is transitioning from elementary school to middle school to high school, or preparing for college, Infinity can help. Classes are filling up. Call us now to find out more. 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. You want the best results for your child? One call to Infinity can have a huge impact on your child's future. Call now. 768-1777. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
We're on the other side of your weekend here, the Monday edition of the Vegas Take. Come here live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON. Talk of Las Vegas. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro, along with JD Sharp. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel, the Vegas Take Radio. And we are about to discuss an iconic show and an icon returning to that show, JD, as Saturday Night Live has been on the air for years, since the late 70s. And it continues to roll along throughout different presidents, different, scenarios in our country's history, and they have an interesting take on it. Well, Eddie Murphy, a comedic legend, came back onto the show this weekend, hosted the show for the first time in a long time. And it starts out, obviously, those of you that don't watch Saturday Night Live, there's a monologue by the host of that week, and then it's basically a sketch comedy show where they, go through skits, and it's tremendous if you're into that type of television. Well, Eddie Murphy was one of the pioneers on that show and was a member of that cast that a lot of our older listeners will remember, of course, with Chevy Chase and Bill Murray and Gilda Radner and across the line, just, basically people who are legends in the entertainment business started out in that show. And JD, it's really cool to get someone like Eddie Murphy back on there and to give his point of view with, what's going on in America today and how he portrays everything. It was pretty interesting to see what his take was. And when it all started right with a monologue where he had an interesting take on a former, now disgraced comedian, Bill Cosby, who is now serving time in jail. But he brought back a lot of his old characters, Eddie Murphy did. And one of those characters was unleashed on Colin Jost and Michael Che, the two hosts of Weekend Update on SNL.
Let me tell you something. I saved this damn show from the gutter, and it's thanks to me. This is the thanks that I get for saving this show. Shame on you, Lorne Michaels. Shame on you, NBC. Shame on you.
All right, Gumby, just calm down. Calm down.
Don't tell me to calm down, trailer boy. And I gotta sit and listen to this black bastard telling me people won't remember who I am? You know why you two are behind this desk? Because your jokes don't have legs, you schmucks. I pass kidney stones with more personality than the two of you. That's a little rude. Face it, kid. The both of you together couldn't Velcro my sneakers.
And look, that he's had so many iconic characters that he's unleashed on America. Of course, Buckwheat's another one. Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood is another also. But it's they pride themselves, JD, don't they, on this show on SNL, not to break character, right? To not bust out and just in just unleash laughter.
Well, I mean,
but they couldn't help it. They had to once they have a legend.
If you've
like
ever
that
watched the old Will Ferrell, Jimmy Fallon segments,
yes,
Jimmy Fallon broke the fourth wall like 10 times. There was a segment where the entire time he was just constantly breaking the fourth wall. But I'm glad that SNL brought back Eddie Murphy because it needed a boost. This Donald Trump stuff had gotten a little bit old. The Alec Baldwin, the Pete Davidson, but bringing a guy like Eddie Murphy back, that's a correct move. So kudos to you for doing that SNL, but I have not watched it myself.
It's interesting, though, that there are really two types of fans. There's the fans of Eddie Murphy that remember his older stuff, right? The Beverly Hills Cop series, 48 Hours, Trading Places, the Nutty Professor. And then there's the younger fans, the younger people like yourselves who, would remember more for his appearance on Shrek or, him being in Vampire in Brooklyn or Norbit. Or movies like that later on. It's almost like the same dynamic, I think, as Ice Cube, right? Ice Cube, a lot of the younger people think of Ice Cube as, the dad, as like, he's in all these family-friendly movies and in the likes of Barbershop and stuff like that.
What was awesome was Bowfinger.
Yeah, Bowfinger was good too. That was in the 90s though also. That was kind of in the transition.
I was like, no, I think it was 99.
Yeah, so it was.
I
would put that in the transition period for Eddie Murphy.
But his character in that, both characters were really, really funny. Yeah. So that's a movie that I really enjoyed.
I was a big Boomerang fan, by the way. That was a flick. I believe it came out around 94, 93, where he was pretty funny in that too. David Alan Grier was in that movie. Martin Lawrence was in that movie as well too. But it's an interesting dynamic. But the same thing with Ice Cube. Like Ice Cube now, he's a movie star. Ice Cube used to be a hardcore rapper for NWA back in the early 90s, late 80s. So it's interesting to see the transition.
Yeah, Ice Cube's he's a movie star / businessman.
Exactly.
He runs the Big Three. Well,
he does.
I don't know if he's going to anymore, but he started
the league. It kind of has its niche, though, doesn't it?
He started the Big Three.
It has its niche.
We'll just see
it's not the NBA. It's not the D League.
They're doing it wrong, though, Chris. What they should do is if you say you've got a team, not the Houston. I don't know, the Houston Spaceships instead of the Houston Rockets, but you should have former players from those teams that you're playing. So in order to be on that team, you should still call your team that name, but then you should actually get alumni and bring them back, like 3 or 4 alumni, and that's how the league should be situated. And so Ice Cube is doing that incorrect, and I think it's going to fail.
So Eddie Murphy, JD, in his monologue, took aim at a lot of things, but he took aim also at Bill Cosby. And talked about how if you placed a bet, JD, back in the day of who would be today's TV dad and who would be in prison right now, he acknowledged full well that they would think Eddie Murphy would be the guy that would be in prison instead of Bill Cosby. That's not the case. And you know what, JD? We have an exclusive right now. We have somebody calling in, I believe, from a Pennsylvania prison detention center that wants to chime in with his thoughts on Eddie Murphy and his monologue on Saturday night. Caller, thank you very much for joining the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Well, I appreciate your time and stuff. The Vegas Take, is a very popular show here where I am at right now, and I want to say something about Eddie Murphy. He is not funny at all. And that is my opinion, and I'm in here lifting a lot of weight, so when I see Eddie, it is going down.
Hey, Mr. Cosby, is it true that you can get Jell-O pudding pops while you're in prison right now? Do you have access to your favorites?
We call them Zoom Zooms and Wham Whams in here. That's the code. That's what we call them. Okay? And let me tell you something about Michael Cohen, because me and him have lunch later today. And we're going to lift weights together. There's a lot of interesting people that the Vegas Take talks to, but I'm going to start calling in a little bit more because I do not like Brian Shapiro.
What do you don't like about Brian? What makes you mad about Brian? What fires you up about Mr. Shapiro?
He is very passionate, but he's very, very wrong when he does the things that he does, and he speaks, and he turns from a vanilla pudding pop to a red pudding pop. See the top of his head. And Tatum, but JD, now that is my guy. I love JD because he is all opinionated, and they're all wrong, but who cares?
So, Mr. Cosby, we appreciate you spending some time on your holiday week to call us, and make sure you, I hope you have fun hanging out with Michael Cohen and the rest of the crew in there. I think Robert Gates is heading in there with you too, right?
It should be fun.
We got a bunk ready for him. So talk to everybody later. Y'all have a wonderful Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and all the other things that you love to do.
Yes, former America's TV dad,
Perfect.
Bill Cosby, joining us live from a Pennsylvania prison.
Yes, and enjoy the yard, Bill.
That was outstanding stuff. Bill Cosby joining us on the show. Shout out to Campaign, our part of the Vegas Take family
For being
with his
take.
For
knowing
on how things went down.
For knowing Bill Cosby personally,
Yes.
and lining him up on our show. Thank you so much, Campaign.
That is how
You have crazy
That is how
connections.
many connections we have here at the Vegas Take. We can go right to the horse's mouth to a former comedic legend in Bill Cosby and get his thoughts on Eddie Murphy and him chiming in on Saturday Night Live. JD, that is solid stuff. That's why we are one of the greatest radio shows in Las Vegas, is because we're able to get insight like that from people that actually are part of the story and they're part of the news. Can't go wrong, right?
Chris, I need a pudding pop.
It is. The commercials were crazy. Bill Cosby, he was everywhere. He wasn't just.
I want a sherbet pudding pop.
Mr. Huxtable. The guy was all over the place back in the 80s and 90s. He was heralded, and now, how quickly has he fallen? It's crazy. So we are discussing, of course, obviously, comedic legend Eddie Murphy joining SNL, but there's another entertainment staple, JD, that we're about to get into that was unleashed on America this weekend. Of course, that is the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker debut. And of course, this series, obviously well heralded and rightfully so. There are Star Wars fans, not just in America, but across the globe, and they get fired up all over the place. And joining us now on the phone lines, he is our Siskel and Ebert correspondent and member of the Vegas Take family, Alex Valentine, joining us now to talk to us about this. Alex, we appreciate you spending some time. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's up, Alex?
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be on. It's been a while. Chris doing a bang up job filling in for Brian.
I appreciate it, Alex. Thanks.
And JD, I hope your ankle's doing better, buddy.
Yeah, ankle's fine. I just to update the listeners on what he's talking about. I was at Red Rock for the first time hiking with my family, and I was just all pumped up. I don't know if nature just drove me to do it, but I just started running on this rock, and I jumped and I I thought I was going to fly. I don't know what I was doing, but I jumped and I landed on my left ankle and I just destroyed it. I think I have a second degree or a third degree ankle sprain. So I'm dealing with that as we speak.
Crazy.
Very
That's
crazy.
the real story here.
Yeah, it is, right? Hey, so Alex, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, it killed it at the box office this weekend, but the Skywalker finale couldn't match its recent predecessors on opening weekend, even though it did amass 175.5 million debut. That ranked as the third largest weekend of the year. Your thoughts on that? Because look, we all who are fans of the Star Wars series and have followed the movie phenomena that it is, and that George Lucas has created here. But your thoughts on what transpired this weekend and the support for the movie coming out?
I mean, not surprising that it didn't live up to the expectations of its two predecessors. You know, a lot of fans were turned off by the end of The Last Jedi, and I think that fallout carried over to this opening weekend of people who wanted to wait and see what the reviews were like before it actually came out. And at one point, it was actually rated lower than The Phantom Menace by critics, which came out, over 18 years ago, or almost 20 years ago now. And I think that a lot of that has to do with that fallout. And I also think another part that has to do with it is I think people are going to wait because of these reviews and actually wait to see it on Disney Plus when it hits there.
Yeah, apparently Taft mentioned, and she talked about, with critics, we've seen with our movies, we see a lot lower scores than not, but that they continue to do business because they're great quality movies for the moviegoer. And she also, she also chimed in that we know people are very passionate about Star Wars and have very strong opinions about it. That's really a phenomenon, right? It's not just like we're talking about some one-off movie. We're talking about a series of movies, and people just have expectations. Maybe they're unreasonable, maybe they're not. And that comes into play when you're talking about a series like this.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 5 Star Wars movies that came out in the course of 5 years, a TV show that just launched, and a bunch of other content that's going to be coming out or rolled out over the next 3 or 4 years. It's absolutely a phenomenon. And it's a major reason why it was pushed to this holiday season, because this is the time when the people see the most movies. So it made sense for them to come out. And it absolutely is. I'm a Star Wars nerd myself, and I was really hyped for this movie. And it ended up being, good in my opinion. It could have been a lot better. I felt they had to do a lot of course correction. But the diehard fans they'll love it, and it'll be one of the great movies that closes out this series.
I'm not necessarily like a hardcore Star Wars guy. Like I was wired in back, obviously in the 80s. And when the first 3 movies came out, I was more of a fan. That maybe just because of my age and because of my interest back then. JD, were you a big Star Wars guy? Is that your thing?
No. I've never been a big Star Wars guy. I mean, I watched them all when I was young. When I was like 9 or 10, my dad had me watch all 3 of them, or 4, or 5, 10, or 15, or 160. However many it was, I watched them all at some point. I watched The Force Awakens. I watched all the early ones, the ones that came out in the last decade. But, Alex, I want to ask you this. Is The Mandalorian better than The Rise of Skywalker?
I think so, because it's telling a much more complex story, because you're able to really able to develop these characters out and bring in pieces that make the characters stronger and weaker and really add to the story. The Mandalorian, it's going to be 8 episodes. It's basically going to be, like 5-6 hours, I think, is the total run tally time. And then you have a movie that's only, 2.5. So you're kind of comparing, 2 different things. But right now, I would say after, being caught up on The Mandalorian and just watching The Rise of Skywalker, I definitely think The Mandalorian's being done better.
You take a look at the expectations also that did not await Tom Hooper's adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber Cats. Oh, this is when we talk about Cats, this was a much ridiculed big screen musical, and it featured the infamous digital fur technology. It scratched out just 6.5 million in ticket sales. So, I mean, the point being is that sometimes expectations aren't going to be met when you have something that's so hyped up as Star Wars films will be, or musicals that are being adapted into film. a lot of times they're just not going to be able to live up to the hype, right? And so I guess while from a number standpoint, it's done very well, it's not going to be a shock to anybody that it didn't exactly just, go through the roof as far as the expectations.
Absolutely. Hollywood is in love with taking the music that we all love and turning it into a narrative story that they can tell. And I can tell you right off the bat, the second I saw the trailer for Cats, I was already out of it. It didn't look good. I didn't feel it was a musical that needed to be adapted into a movie for us to go and consume. They tried to anchor it down with a huge amount of cast to really, bring people in. And I don't know if you saw, but the reviews were so bad that Paramount actually pulled the original footage that they had and tried to make upgrades to the fur and to the skin of these characters and re-release it so they would get better traction with the poor visual effects that they had. And I don't know if it helped, but it certainly did not help. I'm actually sure it didn't help them because, again, you just said it only had a $6.5 million weekend.
Yep.
Compare that to, Skywalker, which is, again, a pandemonium piece. And Cats is universally loved. I think it's playing on Broadway right now, probably. And, it's a long time running play. So it's one of those things where it just competed against a bigger juggernaut in Star Wars and just got lost in the shuffle.
I saw a tweet that says that Judi Dench licks her cat butthole so many times during the movie that people actually walk out, like because they act like cats. They do all these interesting things that cats do, and that cast it's got to be expensive. You've got Taylor Swift, Idris Elba, Jennifer Hudson, Judi Dench, the new lead. I'm sure she's not expensive, but they had to have put some serious money into that cast, Alex.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely sank buckets of money into that because those people aren't cheap. And then going out there, you have to do motion capture of the face. You have to wear a green suit. You have to come in and, do your voiceovers to make sure everything's dubbed correctly. Like, this was not an easy movie. And I give a lot of credit to the people who worked on the visual effects because this was not an easy task by any means to create both the characters' fur and the environment that they were living around. It had to have been a nightmare.
Yeah, and James Corden too. But and it's not like an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical hasn't been turned into a film before. A Phantom of the Opera, for example, I don't believe that did overly well in the box office. So I'm really surprised they would make this type of financial risk, considering the fact that, again, Andrew Lloyd Webber, his musicals came out 40 or 50 years ago. I would imagine most millennials, unless they're serious art aficionados, don't really know who he is. They probably have heard a couple of the songs, but they don't really know what these things are. So I'm surprised that this movie was even made considering those circumstances.
Well, Hollywood loves musicals. You've seen the success with Mamma Mia, which
La La Land
as well. Yeah. You have Bohemian Rhapsody, which got all that Oscar praise for how original it was, and it helped bring Queen's music back up on the Spotify top 100 charts. I think they have like 3 songs that are now past 1 billion listens after they've been released for over 30, 40 years now. So it's crazy, and you're always trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and that's what Paramount wanted to do here. They wanted to take a very successful play, they wanted to adapt it for a movie, and they were able to do that. But again, their expectations were just too high. Like you said, they definitely spent some money on this cast, and it was one of those gambles that they did that just didn't pay off. And it's kind of like the same thing, when Game of Thrones became popular. All these other shows tried to come out and be similar in that medieval stage. Now that it's gone, they're trying to fill the gap with, all kinds of different medieval shows. People are hoping The Mandalorian's going to be that. Some people are hoping Netflix's Witcher's going to be that. HBO tried to do that with, Watchmen. So a lot of people are going to try to keep doing those musicals until, they run out of musicals to tell, or they just keep making hits. But it's not a surprise that a musical flopped during the holiday season because, again, it was going up against, Star Wars.
Alex Valentine joining us here. We're talking about Star Wars, Rise of the Skywalker. Came in, by the way, with the worst reviews since the 1999's The Phantom Menace, which, of course, featured the heralded debut of Jar Jar Binks. Alex, have a great week. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Enjoy yourself. And we will talk to you again soon. Okay, my friend?
You guys are great. Thanks for having me on. You got some happy holidays out there in Vegas.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alex.
Alex Valentine, social media coordinator with Vegas Take. Also, he is the Siskel and Ebert correspondent when it comes to films here for our show, JD. Yeah, it's tough when when you have so much expectation, so much hype behind a movie, and then it comes out. Look, it did good. It did numbers wise. But it's almost like when you have these elevated expectations,
and
the sky's the limit. It's tough to meet.
To let everybody know, Alex is actually going to be submitting a 500-word movie review that will be on the Vegas Take website, www.thevegastake.com. We've been updating that website a lot lately. There's a whole bunch of changes to it. Some of our articles or some of our segments are actually listed. I've hired some writers, and some are listed with articles explaining, kind of summarizing the segments as we do them in real time. But I recommend that you check out our website. We've made a lot of changes to it. We're very, very proud of it. And like I said, Alex will be having his Star Wars movie review on the actual website, and he actually gives it a grade on there as well.
And speaking of movies, also Clint Eastwood's directed, of course, Richard Jewell ended up flopping at the box office in his opening weekend. Myself and Stein, as well as Brian Shapiro, went and saw the movie. We thought it was good. I thought it was a pretty good movie, but not exactly heralded numbers at the box office.
And one movie that's being discussed a lot right now is Uncut Gems. It's Adam Sandler. He's
KG.
He's actually
Kevin Garnett.
Apparently, he's got he has a very, very strong performance in the movie, but he actually is a loan shark who ends up, he's a diamond dealer who ends up in a lot of debt. And people are saying that it's one of his best performances of his career. So I'll definitely be watching that.
Thanks to our guest, Alex Valentine. Thanks to Jamieson Welsh, NBA insider. Also, Michael Avenatti, attorney. I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro and JD Sharp. Everybody have a great holiday weekend. We'll talk to you again soon. Sean Hannity coming up next here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Do you know that mortgage rates have plummeted to a 3-year low and are nearing historic lows? At the same time, home values have gone